Welcome. Oh, I like your shirt, by the way.
Hey, thanks.
uh,
Little joke.
yeah, little chick. She's an awesome streamer, awesome artist.
Yeah, for sure.
I hope I can get her in the show in the future. But anyways, I'm checking out the studio right here. Welcome. So, how you doing? How you doing?
Doing great, thanks. How are you?
I am doing great. It's 6 p.m. for me, and it's what time is it for you right now?
9 a.m.?
9 a.m. Dang.
Yeah, too early.
Uh, actually, yeah. I cannot wake up at that time. My regular time is 11 or 12. I just can't go beyond that. I cannot. If I wake up earlier than that, it's way too early. So before we start the show, I'm looking at your background. Did you create that, or what is that story behind the background you have?
Oh, this behind me. Yeah, this is a big woodcut. I did this maybe 10 years ago. It's 8 feet tall and it's 35 feet long. It's a big like woodcut installation. So all the pieces are carved out of wood and then it's printed onto the paper. So this is the paper behind me. And when it's set up, it's like a room. So you go inside the room and it's on all the walls, like 360 degrees surrounding you. And it's a big landscape. A weird landscape.
Wow. Well, do you have like photos that on your Instagram, like every
Yeah,
angle?
there's some pictures on my website, and I posted on Instagram a while ago, and there's a video
Okay.
about it actually on my YouTube channel.
Okay, maybe we could check that out later because I do have all your links on my tabs right now. So, all right. So we're gonna start from like the beginning, and then we're gonna go down the list. There are some optional questions if you want to answer them or not. But we'll get to that. So we're gonna start with pretty much your origins. So, I lost my questions. Oh, here we go. How did you start making art, and why do you make art?
I started making art because I used to read comic books as a kid, and I read comic
Oh,
books constantly.
yeah.
And yeah, it was my favorite thing. So when I was a kid, we moved a lot, and so there was a lot of time, in between friends. So it's basically just me and my brother and a bunch of comic books, plenty of time to read. And so the reading naturally led to like trying to copy the pictures. And so it was drawing comics as a kid, and then that kind of just led me down the road to being an artist, I guess.
What kind of superhero was your favorite?
As a kid, my favorite was the Justice League. I like Batman and the Flash the best.
Batman and the Flash. Any favorite villain from DC?
From DC, it would probably have been Darkseid. I think he must have been my
Oh,
favorite.
the big
Yeah.
gun, huh? The big gun.
Yeah, yeah. I always like the cosmic villains the best, right? Like in Marvel, I like Galactus the best. Like these kind of cosmic, strange, otherworldly villains. I prefer them. I like the weirdness of them.
Oh, like the weirder the better.
Yeah, yeah. I always like that guy. I forget his name. It's just that like it's a head. It's a giant head with like arms and legs. I always liked him.
Morak.
Yeah, yeah, that's exactly right. Yeah, yeah. And
Morak.
there was another guy I think who was like a body, but his face was in his stomach, kind of similar. I always like those ones that just guys
Oh,
who were kind of
but that's
frayed.
not from Teenage Mutant Turtles. You're talking about Krang.
Oh, Lord Krang. Yeah, yeah, I liked him too. Yeah,
Yeah, that's
I
the
don't
the
know,
little
something about that.
character in the middle. Yeah. I'm a big
Mhm.
comic book guy. I'm a big nerdy guy. So like, I mean, because I grew up with that too. So from you starting out, like reading from comic books, and that kind of gave you the motivation from doing like your comic book art, right?
Yeah,
Uh,
exactly.
and so how long did it take you to like start doing, like pursuing more of your comic books? I noticed also on your website you're gonna start a Kickstarter soon.
Yeah, yeah, I'm doing that for a woodcut comic I've been making. So I made the first one. I finished it in
Mm,
2015,
okay.
and it's a three book series. And the idea was to do the first book in my 20s, the second book in my 30s, and the third book in my 40s, just to kind of see the difference, in style and sort of sensibility. And so the second one I've been working on for almost 6 years, and it's going to be out. The Kickstarter will go live in December 1st, and I'm just finishing up the last bits now.
Dang. So it's like a 5 year project?
Something like that,
Five,
yeah, 5 or 6 years.
6 years?
Hmm.
Dang, that's a big long project. I mean, what would you make you like want to go Kickstarter, the Kickstarter route?
Well, it seems like that's the way a lot of comics are being released now, and it seems
True, true.
like a good way to go, and it's a good way to sort of gauge what the print run should be, and sort of don't wanna print too many and spend extra money or print too few, uh, and and kind of I don't know, it just seems like a good way uh, to sell them up front and then do the prints, you know? It makes a lot of sense that way.
Okay.
And,
Um,
oh, you need more volume on me, huh?
yeah, yeah, yeah. I'm doing. Okay, I haven't done this show in 2 months. So I mean, not 2 months, 2 weeks. So I'm just trying to like keep talking and not try to interrupt you or anything. That's why I'm just typing.
Sure, no problem.
Just keep the games going.
Another thing about the Kickstarter that's good is that there are different kinds of rewards, right? So the comic book
Hmm.
is all woodcut. So it's not just it doesn't just exist as a printed book like from from a printer. There's actually hand printed uh pieces of art that are made from it. So each two-page spread is a block of wood. Actually, I have one right in front of me. I was carving it yesterday on the stream. So this is like a two-page spread from it, and so
Oh
I
wow.
print these like directly onto paper, right? And then I scan them, and that's how I print
Right.
the book. And so there's prints of these that exist, and so like for the different tiers, the different rewards, like can have the original prints off of the block available too, which isn't really feasible. Like if you're at like a Comic Con or a booth or something selling things, can't really bring a big stack of it's less feasible to bring a big stack of originals and then like you don't know what pages people might be interested in. So because
True.
there's
True.
gonna be 175, I think, blocks for this new comic, and the one from a few
Dang.
years ago was 225 prints. So that's another advantage of that is just sort of people can choose if they're interested.
Oh, that's true. I mean, like good variety on it. And have you guys? So, are you gonna do like kind of also like the ink stamp things? What they did like back in the day of like prints? Do you do that too, or?
Yeah, that's primarily what I do is the prints, but they're all like directly from the block. So yeah, these are basically like big stamps.
Oh, yeah, okay. I see where you're going. Okay, yeah, because I've seen a couple artists do that, especially like in art booths and all that. Especially like Japanese traditional that I seen someone do with
Mhm.
like Star Wars and all that. So
Yeah.
that's just really cool. So you're gonna make these blocks and you're gonna print them out on all these. So each kind of like comic book is gonna be sort of unique because sometimes traditional art not everything comes out like the same, right? Like, or when you ink it, it's gonna be like 100% exactly the same. So
Mhm.
it gives it more uniqueness to every single comic that you're gonna bring out. What is the premise of the story?
The premise of the story, it has to do well, it started it I made the general idea for the story starting in
Mhm.
like 2012. And actually, it follows from the installation from the print behind me. The print behind me
Mm.
was, like, back then in the sort of air, it was all about kind of the end times, the apocalypse, and all these
Mm.
different ideas, right? People were talking about the Mayan calendar ending, for example.
Oh, I
People were
remember
talking
that.
about all
I
the
was freaking out.
conspiracies, sort of Alex Jones was becoming bigger, and there was all these kinds of just different climate change was getting more serious, and everything was just kind of it seemed like it was swirling, and at the same time social media was getting bigger and bigger, and so people were kind of retreating to their bubbles, and they were explaining everything that was happening in the world through the lens of their pre-existing beliefs. And so in the story there are a bunch of different sort of groups, and they all know absolutely what's going on, and they have their sort of it's all about kind of confirmation bias. So in the story, a thing happens, it's a big thing, and it's sort of a phenomenon, and nobody really can explain it. But everybody is very sure they know exactly what's going on, and so that informs everything they do. And everybody's like, "I'm right and you're wrong," and they backfill the evidence to fit what their already existing beliefs were. So it's kind of like this kind of society. And it seemed like back in 2012 that that's sort of where things were heading,
Hmm.
and sadly, it's gone that way more, so it kinda sucks.
Yeah. I mean, it's because like I guess like the more that we got like access to the internet,
Mhm.
like there's so much information being spread, and it's like what is true, what is like what is not true, because you know how like everybody says like everything, every conspiracy is based on of a little piece of truth or something like that, and it just
Mhm.
gets spread wild, and it goes pretty much like a wildfire. It starts building up, and it's going way too crazy, and it's just yeah.
Yeah, exactly, and in the story, every group has that kinda kernel of truth, right? Like, try to make it so you can kind of see where everybody's coming from and kind of sort of sympathize with them, even
Mhm.
though where they take it is completely off base. Or is it?
Yeah, yeah. So, do you have like a main character, or just sort of like kind of like a group kind of thing?
There's more like there's some recurring characters, there's main characters, but it's more about the groups. So I think there's like 7 main groups,
Seven
and
main groups.
yeah.
Oh, and each like they have like their own arc, kind of saga, kind of thing.
They all physically separated themselves from each other, and they're all kind of just they literally physically move themselves into their own bubbles, and so they're kind of
Mm.
they decided that the only thing that they could agree upon was that they couldn't live together anymore, and they all split. And then it's like, how do you run society where everybody's still kind of connected, but they have no interest in being connected with one another? And if they could, they would just sort of ignore the fact of everybody else's existence and get on that way.
Oh wow.
Mhm.
So how long you been writing this for? Like, is it beyond like the 5 6 years, or was that just like the arc?
The idea for the story was back around maybe 2011, 2012. So like the installation
Mm,
behind me showed all of the different kinds of end time scenarios, but as if they all happen at once. So I was interested in like, what if all these things that everybody's talking about, all the doom and gloom, what if it all happened simultaneously? So I made this giant landscape that
mm.
kind of showed all these things happening. And then I thought it might be interesting to sort of go back and find the steps that led to this outcome. So I've been thinking about the story for since I guess since 2010, 2011, when the piece was made behind me. But the first book I wrote during 2012, 2013, and then the current one I've been writing it since 2016. But I had the kind of grand arc already made at the beginning, so I know how the whole thing ends, and I know how the whole thing's going to go, even into the last book, which I'll make uh, in my 40s next decade.
And
Well,
all
next
right.
decade for me.
Yeah, 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 for sure. So I mean, this sounds like a really great like story and project, and also very like the uniqueness with the wood carving too, and then with the comic book. It sounds really dope. So this can be launched on, you said, on December?
Yeah, December 1st.
December 1st. Okay. All right. Well, I mean, that's a very exciting project, and I can't wait to see it because I am gonna be notified by it.
Oh,
Um,
thank you.
so we're gonna go to like, actually, this probably relates to what you were talking about. Maybe it was like we just started with the conspiracies and all that. And what art do you most identify with?
What art do I most identify with? Ah,
Yeah.
yeah, that's a tough question. I mean, it's I feel like there's a sort of a tug of war between what I loved as a kid and what I love as an adult.
Hmm.
Because when I see comic art, I'm just completely I'm still totally in love with it, right? I
Right.
love comic art of all kinds, and I unfortunately don't keep up with comics quite as much anymore. I don't like reading them digitally so much.
Yeah,
And,
I feel
like,
that.
I live in Taiwan, so it's not like we have a comic book shop down the street where I can go get,
Mm,
American comics in English language. Like, there's a bookstores you can get kind of collected editions, and I get that sometimes. And I have lots of
mm.
friends who also like to read comics, so, like, I'll borrow a bunch of sort of collected editions and stuff, but I don't really keep up month to month. But I really love the comic art, and I love the kind of sequential art, right? The narrative, the visual storytelling. I think that I don't think that there's a division between fine art and comic art, even though a lot of people try to
Yeah.
make it that way, right? Like
Yeah,
my
yeah, yeah.
college had a major. You could be a comic book art major. At the time, I think it was one of only 2 schools in the country. It was my school and the Kubert School, I think, that had comic art as a
Oh,
major.
okay.
And but they were like I think they were in the design department, and I was in the fine art department. I think that comic art is absolutely fine art, but so I'm totally drawn to that, but also I love just contemporary fine arts. I think there's a lot there. I like art that's about stuff. I like art that has kind of a deeper meaning that explores the sort of the underlying philosophy of our existence. Um, and of course, I like printmaking, other woodcutters, and people doing stuff like that. I think, but everything is interesting to me. So every kind of art is good. You know? I guess
No,
it's a
yeah,
really
yeah.
crappy question. Sorry for I mean, a really crappy answer. Sorry for answering your
A
question so badly.
question?
Everything.
I
Yeah,
am
yeah.
offended. No, I'm just
I
kidding.
come here to insult you. No,
I'm
I mean,
offended.
it's
All
a
right, quick.
terrible answer. It's a terrible answer to a wonderful question. I
No,
feel
you're
like
fine.
my answer should be more specific, but
No, no, no. I
it's
mean,
it's like everything, every kind of art I think of. I'm going in my mind. I'm going through all the different kinds of art. I'm thinking, oh, well, no, I like that too. And in each one I run through is like equally compelling to me and equally interesting. So,
well, how about the like? Who were your like biggest influence? Like, what was like an art or art is that kind of like influence or give you a direction that you want to go where you are now?
well, for comics growing up, it was always George Perez. He was always
Those
my
fair.
favorite comic
Oh, okay,
artist.
okay,
Yeah,
okay. All right, all right.
and his work, I just loved how much detail he would pack in, and how you could just look at his pictures forever, and you could always find new stuff. And that was that was to me just packing everything in. So I have a very kind of maximalist composition, like my style, and I put a lot of things in. And like the best compliment I can ever get from people is when they tell me that every time they look at something that I made, they see something new. And so I kind of like that. That was a big, just a big influence on me. For woodcuts, like there's a great tradition of wordless woodcut stories. So kind of like almost like comic books from the early 1900s. And
Mm-hmm.
so there's Lynn Ward and Giacomo Patri and Franz Mazzareel. There's all these old woodcutters from the first half of the 20th century and maybe the end of the 19th century. And they were doing comic books, but there's no words. It was just woodcuts, and it was
Yeah,
all
yeah.
sequential art. So it's kind of like a proto comic book, or sort of. I would consider it to be a comic book because it's sequential, even though each page is just one picture. But
Right,
I
right.
really love that, and that's part of why I wanted to do a comic book in woodcut, even though it's kind of a pain to draw and carve all the pictures. But there's a tradition of it, and I like that tradition.
Yeah, I mean, cause I know like wood carving was a thing back in the day where like that's the only way they made prints. You know, like
Hmm.
because they don't have technology what we have now, like we could just easily just print something up. So there's like,
Yeah.
what? How can we make money and sell it, like not waste too much time just on one painting, wondering, oh, we just make stamps of the same design,
Hmm.
you know, just make a stamps. Like way back in the day, and that's how the first a variation of printing came about with art. um so that's actually just really cool. So like, I mean, like, yeah, it may be a little, it takes long to maybe create carve like a page or something, but at least you can use that as many times as you want. You could have made variations of that, like whether color or something like that. I'm pretty sure. So I mean, it did take longer, but you can use that as many times as you want and makes it more unique. And it is also something that's kind of like not used a lot no more, which it makes it more unique and also, in my opinion, sought after compared to other art. Because you see that a lot of often, like the regular prints and stuff like that, but you don't see a lot of wood prints as much.
Hmm.
Like
And I
compared
like
to,
the aesthetic of it too, and I find it's
yeah.
hard to copy the aesthetic. Even like I've tried to do like in pen and ink or in tattoo, try to copy the look and the feel of the woodcuts that I do, and can kind of capture it, but I feel like it loses something, and there's a sort of, I don't know, there's a quality to it that I really like.
How what's the average time you take on a wood carving?
Oh, it depends. Yeah, it depends on the size, of course, of the block, and it
Mm-hmm.
depends on the amount of detail. And some things are more difficult to carve than others. Some things are quicker to carve. So it can take anywhere from a few hours to, well, the piece behind took me 8 months to make.
Mm-hmm.
But I mean, it's huge. But some of the smaller ones can do it in a few hours. But I generally spend between between a week and a month on most of my work.
A week in a month? Oh, okay.
Mhm.
And then and then when you're done with it, you just start making prints of him and stuff like that.
Yeah, I do prints, and a lot of them I make black and white, but I have some that I do color. And
Mm.
so, I think you alluded to it earlier, you can do color in woodblock, but I prefer to print the black and white and then hand paint them with watercolor. So I
Okay,
like them to
okay.
be kind of, like it's called a varied edition, so I like it to be a little bit different. Each one
Ah,
you
okay,
kind of
okay.
do you can do a different color scheme, and you kind of explore and experiment with different things, and I like the immediacy of painting directly on it. So
Right.
the thing about, with the wood block is, like, if you wanna do it in color, you need to use multiple blocks, so
Yeah.
1 block for each color, or you can do a reduction print, which means, like, you use 1 block for all your colors, but once you print that layer of color, you carve it away, and then that's it. So if you print 10 of them, you only can ever make 10, for example. And so, it's I like art that's done that way, but for me, it's less fun to make. I think it's much more fun to paint directly on them.
Yeah, yeah, because I do remember an artist. His name is Strongs, and he does like the wood blocks, and just like each of them is like each color, like a each layer kind of thing. Yeah, it's like kind of like screen printing t-shirt.
Hmm,
But it's like each one is a color. But for you, it's like one block, and then you paint it, and then you start painting it within the paper
yeah.
to add it more different, unique. It's more fun, more instead of just doing like the same thing. In each block, just make one and color each of them how you want it
And
or different.
it's a good way to learn color theory too, right?
Oh yeah,
Because
yeah.
like, I made black and white woodcuts, only black and white for probably the first 10 years of my career. It was just black and white. And then I started painting, and, like, it had been a long time since I'd done stuff with color, so of course I was rusty. And probably still am. But, you can pick different palettes, and you can paint the exact same woodblock with a different palette, and then you can see, what works and what doesn't, or why this one has this kind of a mood to it, and why this one has a different look, a different feel to it. And so it's a really good way of kind of comparing and contrasting different color schemes and learning how to use color for certain effects. So also the nice side benefit is that it's educational for me.
Okay, okay. Um, is there like is it possible to work with like acrylic or just watercolors? Like your preferred
I
method?
think, yeah, if you used acrylic, you'd probably have to use a lot of, medium, like, you'd have to thin it out to make it more transparent. So with the watercolor, the nice thing is that the ink
Oh,
I
okay,
use from
okay,
the wood
okay.
block is oil-based, and
Oh,
so
okay.
the watercolor doesn't really sit on top, it kind of beads off of it, and so you can paint it really easily without having to worry about covering up the black. I think if you
Mm.
were gonna use acrylic if I was to use acrylic, I would probably paint the colors first and then print on top with the wood block, but that would be a little bit more difficult. But I'm not sure.
Right, right, right.
There's probably people who have painted them with acrylic and it's worked out. I bet you would just have to find the right kind of medium to mix in with the paint to make it work out.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, yeah, 'cause, yeah, you don't want to smudge it and all that. How long does it take to dry up, or is it like instant? The ink.
The wood blocks. The ink, yeah, it depends. So it can take anywhere from a couple days to a week. It depends on the sort of weather conditions, like the atmospheric conditions where you are, and it also depends on what you mix in with your inks.
Mm.
So here I mix a little bit of it's kind of oil. I'm not exactly sure what you call it. I have some here, and I use this stuff. I don't know if you know what this is.
No,
It's
no.
unclear.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I never seen it
But I know
before.
that there's a drying agent in there as well, so it changes the
Oh,
consistency of the ink, and it also helps it dry faster. So, because
oh,
it's really humid here, and so I think it would take a long time to dry. So, but now if I use that and I mix a little bit of it in it, it only takes, maybe 24 hours.
okay, yeah, yeah. Because I think there's a different name here. Yeah,
Mhm,
I know exactly what you're talking about. They kind of mix it with also like there's certain similar technique they do with acrylic where they make
mhm,
it like to not dry as fast. It's you can mix it with it. It's something similar to that.
mhm.
Okay, okay. And where are you again?
Where am I?
Yeah. If you don't mind me
I'm
asking.
In Taiwan.
Um, do you mind asking like why you decided to move there for art purposes or just personal?
A little bit of both.
Okay.
I've been here since 2008. So I came here pretty much right out of college,
Oh, okay.
and I was interested in living abroad. I wanted the experience of what it was like to
Mm.
live in another country,
Mhm.
and I was researching the best places to go. So my ultimate goal was to be a full-time artist, and so I wanted to go somewhere that would let me sort of do art the most. And so at all the places you could go, basically, it was, I used to be an English teacher when I came here, so that's a good way to go to another country
Ah.
and work, right? So you can get a visa if you, don't you don't have to have an English degree, right? I have a degree in fine arts, but I could come here and I could get a visa to teach. And so I was researching all the countries, and in Taiwan, you only had to teach, it was the amount of hours you had to work to keep your visa was pretty low. I think it was something like 12, and
Oh,
most
wow.
jobs that I found, you would work 20 hours a week unless you wanted to work more. So a lot of people here who I know, they'll work 2 jobs. They'll work 1 job for 20 hours and another job for 20 hours. But for me, I thought, "Great, 20 hours as a teacher, and then I can do studio time for 20 hours a week, and that's my 40-hour work week."
Mm.
And pay you get compared to the cost of living was, favorable, right? So you get paid decently, and it doesn't cost much to live here. So I wouldn't have to work a super low heavy load of hours. And so over the years, I gradually decreased my teaching time and increased my studio time. And then I became a permanent resident, and I no longer had to teach to keep a visa. So I retired, and I've been doing art full time for almost 6 years now.
Wow. Um, in Taiwan, is there any like kind of like I won't say convention? What it called? Um, like places you can start your art. Like I can't think of the word. Um, well, some type of conventions over there, right?
Mm. Well, so
I
there's
know they call it
events
different
in my
events.
city, like, every year we have a big food international food and music festival, and they have,
Okay.
like, booths for artists, and so I get a booth there every year, which is great. And there's a few other events in my city, and sometimes in Taipei. So I'm in Taichung, it's the 2nd city, it's in the middle of Taiwan.
Mm-hmm.
And there's Comic Cons and stuff here, but the problem is, the language here is Mandarin, is Chinese.
Right.
And so my comic work is in English. Actually, I would hope someday to be able to have it translated into Chinese, but,
Mm.
going to events, here, it's a bit different. Like, one thing that I wish I could do more is to go to Comic Cons. Like in the US, I see all these artists, they go from town to town, city to city, and they do this con, they do that con. They all
Yeah.
know each
Yeah.
other. A lot
Yeah.
of
Yeah. Yeah.
camaraderie, like, it seems like a lot of fun, and I'm kinda sorry to miss out, but I think next time I visit the US, I'm gonna try to arrange it for a time when there's a con on, so at least I can do that. But I've done the Singapore Comic Con, which is also interesting 'cause, English is one of the main languages in Singapore, so can go there and, um, it's a bit like being in the US for that. So that was fun, but it's expensive there, so it's not necessarily so feasible. It's not like you can jump in your car and load up your merch and drive, a few hours to go do it. Like, gotta get an airplane and gotta get hotels, and it's a bit of a pain. So I try to stick to the more local stuff, but I do like the local stuff a lot. It's a lot of fun, and, it's a good chance to practice my Chinese and meet a lot of people.
Yeah, I mean, it sounds. I mean, yeah, cons are very expensive. Like, I'm about to go to LA Comic Con, and oof,
Mhm.
it's like,
Is that
yeah,
right?
yeah. I
Even
mean,
in the
it's
artist alley?
yeah, it's because like not only you have to pay like you have to pay like parking, food,
Mhm.
hotel, and then the table, and also any new products you're making. That's
Yeah,
like five
right, that's
different.
right.
That's like five different things. So it's
Mhm.
like it's over like $1,000 or more, right? But like with the
Ye
product, it's like you can use that throughout the year. But I'm just saying, like for me, it's gonna be like it's a new line. Um,
It's an investment, right?
yeah, yeah, yeah. It's a new line. It's a new line, all that. So it's like it's sort of like I have to start all over because it's been 2 years already.
Mhm.
Um, but yeah, so it's actually really cool that you have like local events and all that, and it's kind of like more of a community base, and it's not. I feel like that's less stressful than like cons and stuff, honestly, because I just went to a local one not too long
Mm,
ago on this past Sunday, and it wasn't stressful at all. It wasn't
mhm.
really like overwhelming, too much people, or it was just nice one-on-one conversation, a lot less crazier, not that much traffic, and not a
Mhm.
lot of like different like rows they could look at or like going different all different places. It's just like one row and then you're good. So I
Yeah.
did enjoy that compared to like the one I did, like the bigger one was at TwitchCon 2019. That one was way crazier, but I mean they messed up the map and all that. But other than that, but like it was crazier all over the place, and it's like you gotta like gotta get him in the hook the first like 5 seconds. If not, you lose that person and you gotta move on. Like because there's so much going on. There's so many things like to pick from.
Mhm.
Um, but yeah, I mean, yeah, the local events is something that I think is a good way to approach things compared to like cons and expos. Like, yeah, it's fun, but to do it all the time, it's not. It's gonna be like okay, like all right, it's gonna cost a lot of money and it's gonna uh, maybe like in the beginning be real overwhelming, but maybe in time we just start getting less stressful here and there. But honestly, it's parking and all that is still way. It still will always be stressful no matter what.
Parking in the US is not cheap, is it?
Yeah, you got to pay like $20 a day. So if you're
That's
staying for
ridiculous.
like 4 3 days, that's 80 to $60 a day, and then it's not even counting like food and all that. So
Yeah.
because you
And,
got to
like, you
park.
wanna buy stuff at the con, right? Like, you see some cool
Yeah,
comics you wanna pick up or some art you like. That's
yeah.
that for me, that's the hardest part about doing tables and doing events like that is I try to set myself a budget for how much I'm gonna spend at the event, like, on food and on, like, other people's art, but then there's all these cool people who are selling great art at the tables next to you,
Yep.
and, you 'cause you have a table, so you're there working, but you're also a fan, and so trying to find that balance between, between being a fan and being sort of on the clock, I find that a little bit tough.
Yeah, I mean, it's also like if you want, you can't really leave your booth because then you're
Mhm,
like you're missing on sales, you're missing on meeting people, you're missing.
mhm.
Yeah, it's just okay. Yeah. Actually, speaking of art booths, do you have any like stories or like kind of like funny stories that happened to you when you're not doing boots at all? Anything like unusual or something like that just happened kind of thing?
Once in a while, you get, interesting people who come up. I think one of my there was one guy who I think he just learned the term ginger. He's a Taiwanese guy, and he was studying English, and he was super proud of this word, and so he came up and he looked at me and he said, "Aha! You are a ginger!" And he was really proud, which is kind of funny. Did like I don't know, I always thought I had brown hair, but I guess not. So that was interesting. And then, there's, every year at this one event I do, there's this one woman who she goes around to every single booth, and she wears, like, in Taiwan, they're afraid of the sun, so they wear, they
Oh,
totally
really?
cover up.
Oh,
Yeah, so, like,
okay,
she
okay.
wears, like they get these things in their arms where, like it's like you wear short sleeves, but then you wear this extra sleeve that covers you from
Yeah,
here to
yeah,
here, and then you
yeah.
wear, like, the gloves. She has, like, this big hat with the full mask and, like, sunglasses, whatever, and she goes around to every single booth, and she looks at everything, and she touches everything and picks it all up, and she asks all the prices and never buys a single thing, and sometimes tells you, like, "Oh, it's way too expensive, it's way too expensive," and every single year it happens, and it happens always on the 2nd day of the event towards the end, and you can see her
What?
coming from up the way. I don't know why, but, I like, the first couple I've been doing this event for must be 9 or 10 years now, and the
Okay.
first couple of times it happened, I was like, what's going on?" But now I kinda look forward to it because it's like an
Tradition.
annual tradition, yeah.
So
So that's pretty weird.
she's just like touching stuff and like looks at it like how much? Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Puts it back down
Yeah,
and just
so way too much, way too much.
but
That's
she just
funny.
like so she never buy art before or just like
I've never seen her buy anything from any table, and, like, I know a lot of the other people who have tables nearby, and they've never made a sale to her either. So,
she
I don't
just
know what the
loves
deal
looking at
is,
the
but
art then. I think she's just
yeah,
like
I guess I
A
would
window
describe her as a
shopper.
local eccentric. Yeah, yeah, window shopper maybe. But like it's not window shopping, it's window shopping, but then like, telling people like this is too much, this costs too much. It's too expensive. You need to make your prices lower, which is pretty funny.
Oh wow. So
Yeah.
she's pretty much like she never pulled a trigger on an artwork that she actually really wants. She's just like maybe she's just probably doing it because she wants to like make the artist think like to make him feel better or something for some reason maybe.
It kind of makes you feel worse when she tells you your stuff is overpriced.
Yeah, no, but I mean like at least like I'm trying to feel like make them feel included or it's like something like that or I don't know.
Yeah, maybe. Yeah, I'm not
I
sure
I
what her game is, but at this point I appreciate her consistency.
like oh here she comes maybe she'll buy
Yep.
one this time like
Yeah.
I would have like if I was there I would have done like oh how much is this $1 you know like is that like
Yeah,
$1 what are
maybe
you
I
gonna
should
do
do that next
now
time.
yeah like, what are you gonna do now what are you gonna
Balls
do
in your
now
court.
yeah your balls in your court is that too much is that too much
That's not a bad idea. I'm gonna keep that in mind.
yeah I mean I would have done that like just to see like I would like get an art piece or whatever she picks up hopefully
Mhm.
it's not too expensive or whatever and I'm like how much is this $1
Yeah.
what you
Well, yeah,
gonna
and
do
one Taiwan dollar, right? One Taiwan dollar is like half a penny, so
Oh,
even
really?
less.
Oh,
Yeah,
okay.
yeah,
Oh,
like,
there
you
you
can't
go.
go
There
much
you
lower
go.
than that.
Well, that's like, there you go. What are you gonna do? And
Yeah.
she's like, oh, all right. Like, I have to do it now. Like, there's no excuse.
Yeah.
There's no
I'll try that
excuse.
out. I'll let you know if I see her this year.
I'll love to hear
We
that
should be
update.
having this event in the next 2 months, usually it happens in
Oh,
October, November, so we'll see.
you should tell some of your artist friends too. Like, maybe she goes down the line, $1, $1, $1.
It's like, "Finally, it worked. I've been waiting 10 years for these people to give me a deal."
That's true. That's probably true. But I want to see her reaction too. Like, oh, I don't have any money now. Like, that's pretty funny. Any other stories happening at cons, or that's just like,
That's mostly it. Yeah. I mean,
okay,
I meet a lot of cool people,
right, right.
and I met a lot of cool people in the Singapore con, which was great. Like, kind of meeting Singapore artists was fun. So, kind of, just yeah, and, like, not just meeting new people, but also seeing the sort of regulars who come every year, like
Uh-huh.
the lady I just talked about, but, like, there's all
Yeah,
kinds of people who come
right,
to this
right.
every year, and you only see them there, but you get to see them once a year, and it's kinda nice, so I like that part of it.
Okay, okay. Um, man, it's so crazy that you're overseas and
Mer
it's like,
oh, sorry, I just read the comment here, "You got change for 100?"
okay, so all right, so you're overseas. There are
Mhm.
local events. There's also a con as well. So, do you do the con at all, or you want to do it like once in a while?
You mean the Singapore one?
Yeah. So you say you did it before, right? So it's like it's
Yeah, I've
maybe
only done it once,
sometimes.
yeah. It's because I mean, it's just, like, you can fly there for pretty cheap, but once you get like, Singapore is really expensive.
Oh,
Everything there is
oh,
super
okay,
expensive.
okay.
So the hotel is crazy expensive, and, the taxi to and from the event, and if you wanna get any food. So I did it once, and I had a lot of fun, but, we'll see. I ended up actually making money on it, which was nice. I was kinda surprised given all of the booth itself is expensive too, at least compared
Hmm.
to things here. I'm not sure how it compares to in the US, but
How much
there's
does it
sort of,
cost?
well, it was like I forget the exchange. It was like 750 Singapore dollars. I don't know the exchange rate, currently. I'm
I'm
sure we
not.
can find out, but, um so I think that like in Taiwan, everything is sort of things are cheap, right? Every country has their own kind of general cost, and so
Holy, it's $554.
554. Okay, yeah. So I don't know how that compares to artist alleys in the U.S. This was for the artist alley in Singapore.
Yeah, that was
Um,
Comic Con, right?
yeah, Singapore, the toy comic and game convention or something like
Oh,
that.
okay. Yeah,
Yeah.
cause I think the New York one maybe is almost the exact same price, but LA
Mhm.
that I'm paying for is around 300 or so.
Ah, yeah, that's not bad compared.
Yeah,
I mean,
yeah.
I split the booth, so a
Oh,
couple of
okay.
us
That
went in
does
on it. So
help.
that made it much better. But
Yeah, yeah.
we split the Airbnb, so that made it cheaper too. But Um, yeah, it was fun though. I would like to go back at some point.
Yeah, like maybe once in a while, kind of. Damn, I mean, it does sound
Yeah,
fun. I mean, um,
yeah.
how
And
much
there's
would it
some
cost?
cool artists there.
Oh, I'm pretty sure. How much would it cost to like go over there? Like,
To
say
fly there,
I decided, you know what, I want to go overseas and do an art booth. Like, I mean, it's
I'm
not gonna
not
be
sure
as
how much it
easy,
would
but
cost for you. Yeah, to for you to fly to Taiwan would cost maybe 1,500 USD.
okay,
It's usually between 1,000 and 2,000 depending on the time of year.
right,
Uh, for me to fly to Singapore, there's budget airlines that are like based in Singapore. So
right.
for me to fly there, it costs I think maybe $50.
Oh God.
Yeah,
Yeah. So for me,
so that's
I
good.
will have to get 3,000 or more just to like either barely make profit.
Mhm.
That's crazy. But for you, it's
But
not as bad.
if you're on vacation, right? Like if you
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, that's true.
pair it
Yeah,
with a vacation, then it kind
it's not
of
as bad.
is
Yeah, it's
better.
not. As,
But then you gotta haul all your merch around the entire vacation, so
yeah,
that's
that's so
not good
like.
either.
I mean, like, if I were like to go overseas, then I would go for like I would use my smaller items. If that makes
Mhm,
sense. Like to like sell like stickers, pins, stuff like that.
mhm.
Maybe some few paintings here and there. Yeah. um. So we went to that right there. All right. So you say you went to college for art, right?
Yep.
In your opinion, is art getting an art degree worth it to go like to go to college, or like was your experience um for art
Uh,
and can't
I
speak right now.
think I went to college, I graduated in 2006, so it was a different world
Time.
back then.
Yeah, yeah.
I was in college when YouTube first went live, you know?
Yeah,
So,
damn.
I think
Yeah.
for learning sort of the technical aspect of art making, like learning how to draw, for example, learning how to use whatever. The internet is great for that. But art school was absolutely valuable because it teaches you how to think about art, how to think about making it, how to talk about it. It gives you contact with professionals who have been working in the business for a long time. And I feel like I wouldn't be able to learn what I learned at art school from the internet. I'd be able to learn maybe half of it, you know?
Okay.
And so making beautiful drawings is absolutely something that you don't need art school for, but sort of I don't know how to explain it. Um, it gives you kind of
Discipline?
a different kind of mindset, right?
Oh, okay, okay.
It teaches you how to think about art in a way that I haven't really seen a lot of online content do. So, unfortunately, it's really expensive, and that sucks.
Yeah,
Um,
yeah,
I
yeah. It's
think
really expensive.
maybe like mentorships might be a good way to get that kind of side of it without having to go to university. But I think it was absolutely valuable. I think it was worth it, worth my time and the money. To the things that I got from it, I think served me well to this day. I hope at least.
Yeah, I mean, it when you went, it was a different time now, right? Because
Mhm.
like it was not done with like YouTube or I mean sources you could like, say, oh, how do you do this online, or like how do you do
Yeah.
word carving or something like that, right? I
Mhm.
mean, compared to now, everybody says go to YouTube. Like you want to learn
Yeah.
something, go to YouTube, right? So
But if you
it's
wanna learn how to be a working professional, it might be more difficult going to YouTube for that, right? Like, I think there's a
yeah,
lot of stuff maybe nowadays that if you don't go to school, you have to figure out for yourself. So how to be disciplined, how to break down a huge project into chunks, right? How to ideate, how to critique, how to self-critique, how to take criticism from other people, you know? So in
yeah,
school, like every week, we would sit so our studio classes were 5 hours long
hmm
from 1 to 6 in the afternoon. And some days we would be drawing or painting the entire time, but some days we would just sit and everybody would tell you why your art sucked and what you could do to make it better, right? And the
yeah,
professor and all of your classmates would tell you what was wrong with what you were making. And so you develop a thick skin, which I think is pretty good, and actually is good for
yeah.
the sort of internet age, because you know it's like
It's There's no
You're used to
discrimination.
criticism, so you get that out of it too.
Yeah, yeah. So I don't really care. I'm just like I don't think there's so much diskin nowadays in the internet.
Mm,
Because like if somebody feels a little bit offended, it's like times 100 now. Like it's
yeah.
compared to like before. Because I did have another artist who went to college like around like that time. And he also had like somebody got really critique on like graphic design, and they just tell him like, "Hey, this is trash, but this is why," right?
Mhm,
But and then also have other artists who have gone to college recently, and the teach that I heard right now the teachers are lazy now. I mean, of
hmm,
course, it's not fully fact, but I'm just like the stories I'm hearing. It's like it's kind of weird now. It's like they've gone to like being very critical to like actually teaching you like what you're doing wrong. So now it's kind of like do whatever you want, and it is what it is. Kind of like it's not really a big deal kind of thing. Um,
mhm,
so it's kind of weird how like it went from that to this. I think because I have no clue why teachers have kind of like gone that mentality now, or why they do that. Again, it's not fact. I'm just like the stories I've been hearing. Kind of like the two oldest artists I interviewed. Boom, critique straight to the point, and this and that.
mhm.
And now the artists I interview, like doing went to college recently, are like, yeah, they're kind of like okay. Some are lazy. Some don't really tell us. It's like it's a weird different world now. With
I
colleges now.
wonder I wonder if it's just the changing mindset, right? Like, I guess it used to be okay to tell somebody their art sucked and you wouldn't get fired or you wouldn't get in trouble with the school. I don't know if maybe if you did it
Yeah,
now, there'd be more blowback, right?
yeah, yeah. It's like, and that's my opinion too. It's like you need to tell them
Mhm.
if their art is trash, the art is trash, but not like but critique them. Like tell them, okay, this is why. Not just like, oh, this
Yeah.
is garbage and move on.
Well, yeah,
Um,
I remember I did a semester in Italy, in, Florence,
mhm.
and went in, and there was a few of us from my school, and the professor told one of my classmates, this your art is, stupid and ugly," which is how I learned how to say stupid and ugly in Italian. He says, "Your art is, stupid and ugly." He goes, "But I say it with love because I wanna help you, I wanna make it better."
Right,
And then
right.
he went on this diatribe about, like, "In the American schools, you know, you pay your teachers, so your teachers have to make you like them. But in Italy, the state pays us, and so we can say whatever we want, and we won't get fired.
That's
And
different,
so
right? Yeah,
I can tell
yeah.
you anything." Like, but I'm not telling you because I'm being mean. I'm telling you because I genuinely want you to become a better artist, and this is why I'm
Right.
saying it. And so I think that there's this there's a spectrum of it too, right?
Hmm.
So even back then, from that perspective, the American teachers were much too soft and cuddly, right? When it came to critiquing.
Yeah, I mean nowadays is a lot worse because now they could like tell them on Twitter, my teacher told me this or something. Like
Mhm,
it gets to that point. It's very sad. It gets to that point now, and they're just trying to help you, but you can't really critique them.
mhm.
Like, oh,
Yeah,
it's very weird. Like you can't really critique people and um as much, and especially like if you bring it back to the art world, if you critique somebody like that, oh, your art is trash. Like, how dare you? You're supposed to help me. No, I am helping you, but it doesn't seem like that now. It's in the
yeah.
U.S.
I think that for artists online, it's probably important to think about, is this commenter a troll, or are they just kind of maybe a little bit tone deaf when it comes to communicating what they wanna communicate in a
Yeah.
helpful way, right? So maybe people are saying things and they actually want to give you positive feedback, but it comes
Right.
across a certain way. It's hard to get the nuance when you're writing. So, like, if I ever get whenever I get any sort of negative comments on my work, I always like, yeah, it sucks, right? It feels bad. You're like, "Ah, geez." I
Right.
try to like, I don't reply immediately for one, and I try to think about, okay, try to put this in the best case scenario, right? And think about give the commenter the benefit of the doubt and think about, okay, maybe they're trying to say this in a nice way and it just came across this way, or maybe I'm totally misinterpreting it. And
Right.
then I find if you do that too, it makes you feel less bad about it as well, because if you think they're coming from you from that point of love, right? Like the Italian professor said, then it takes some of the sting out of it.
Right.
And I think that probably that's really the only way to deal with that stuff, right? Without driving yourself nuts. Just assume goodwill unless they prove otherwise. Sort of giving the benefit of the doubt, I think, is probably important to maintaining your own sanity.
Yeah, I think it'd be like even I think what we're missing now a lot nowadays, especially online, like it's kind of weird, just like what their intentions are, but like the bluntness, like tell them just be
Mhm,
honest, because uh, I'll be honest, I see some artists are doing the same thing over and over, and not really progressing, like growing as artists, because I don't think nobody's really telling them like, hey man, like this is
mhm,
kind of getting a little stale, boring, or is kind of like this is you keep doing the same mistakes here and over and over and over again. You know, whether it's like the shape of the face or like it depends on style too, of course. In that
mhm,
context, I'm just saying like there's some things like oh you could just work on this. Like for me, the one thing I always get critiqued on is my hands. Like in art,
mhm,
like I keep for some reason I keep flipping my hand the opposite way. Like but people tell me like no, this is like being dumb, man. Stop doing that. But I need that. Like it's like that, and I'm now learning how to do hands a lot better. Um,
mhm.
so I think that
Of
is what
course,
is
like,
meant.
you can't I'm sorry.
No, go ahead, go ahead.
Yeah, of course, you can't, like, I think it's not a good idea to, like, critique somebody unless they ask you for it,
That's true. Yeah,
which is
yeah,
a thing that probably, online commenters, nobody ever asks, you just kind of comment, but I think if somebody asks for a critique, um, you gotta be honest about it, but nice. But if they don't ask, like, I think that's something that their closest friends have to tell them about, right?
yeah,
It's,
yeah, yeah, yeah. I mean, because like when you put it online, I say it's all for a game. That's just my
mhm,
opinion. Because you're putting it online for anybody to see, and I
mhm.
mean, it's online. There's you can't really censor them. Like, oh, hey, don't critique me unless you write it down
Sure,
on
sure.
the. So if they critique, they critique, or they're being trolled, they're being trolled. I mean,
Mhm,
sometimes it's hard to tell, but yeah, I think that is the best way too. Is like actually having your real friends telling you, hey, this is. I'm gonna be honest with you. It's
mhm,
trash. Like maybe not that way, but you know, like they're like this is like you need to work on like this as someone like because you want to attract like the non-artist folks, right? When you're selling merchandise, stuff like
mhm.
that. For the most part, kind of way.
Yeah,
So they see it different than when you see it. So they kind of give you a
sure,
different
sure.
perspective of like oh I see where you're coming from. So
Mhm.
that's what and I think that's what a lot of people are missing nowadays. It's just they're just not honest no more. It's like what
And
artists could work
there's a
on.
balance too, right? Like, you've
Yeah,
gotta especially for younger artists, they need, encouragement. A lot of people are really shy about their work, and their work is really
yeah,
great, and they're like,
yeah,
"I don't know if I wanna share this or not," like and so there's that balance too between, it's like a recipe, right? You need this part encouragement and this part honest critique, and finding that and it's not the same for every single person too, right? So
right,
some people, they need a little bit more critique and a little less encouragement, and some people need a little more encouragement and a little less critique
yeah,
to kind of find their way. But yeah, it's
yeah,
an interesting thing. Is it okay to swear on the show?
yeah, yeah. You're good. This is your
In college,
this is your interview, so it's like you're more welcome. Like whatever you feel comfortable.
oh, it'll be mild, but in college, I was in one of my painting classes, and we came in for critique, and we all hung up our oil paintings, and
Uh
the
huh.
professor came in, and he kind of looked around, and he got really mad, and he was like, "This is the biggest collection of shit that I've ever seen in my entire life." It's like,
I'm sorry.
"No crit today. We're not critting. Take your paintings down. Get your canvases out. We're painting. This is terrible. I don't want to look at this anymore." And he was mad, and everybody's like, "Oh, geez."
Wow.
We'd spent, weeks on these paintings. And he was not having it.
Did he
And,
say why? It was just like it was
no, he
just.
was just mad, he didn't like like 'em. He didn't tell us why, we didn't do the critique. So we never
Oh
got
my.
that feedback. But everybody was like, "Oh, no," and you better believe that our next paintings were better.
So that was actually a good thing.
I guess, yeah, I mean, maybe we'd had this professor for a while for I think he I this was I think it was probably painting 2 maybe, so
Mm-hmm.
we kind of
Mm-hmm.
had a relationship with him already, a rapport, and so he probably read the room and thought, "This is the best way to get this group of people kinda going."
I mean, if you think
Uh
about it, what about like that's kind of like his teaching way. You know, it's like to keep that motivation and be like,
Mhm.
I could do better. All right, you're gonna call my artwork shit. All right, I could do better. You know, like maybe that kind of thing. I
Mhm.
don't know, because sometimes that does work when you're like,
Yeah,
maybe he's not
yeah.
being honest. Like maybe he thought it was, oh, okay. I could see them they're doing all right, but I feel they're being lazy in some
Yeah,
ways.
he might have felt that. Yeah, he might have felt that we didn't put enough into it or whatever it was. I think it worked. I mean,
I mean, like I
we
said,
were all kind of like shocked, and we also kind of thought it was funny, but also not like it
yeah,
wasn't
yeah,
was it was not it didn't come across as kind, but I bet his intention was, like the Italian professor, say it with love because he wants us to get better. I mean, it's his job to make us get better. So
yeah. I mean, yeah, I'm pretty sure it'd be frustrating, but it's like for me, my personal opinion would give me like, all right, I'm gonna prove you wrong. Like on the next one,
yeah,
that's
yeah.
what my mind goes to. So I mean, I
Mhm,
think that's what we need more nowadays. Like honestly, we need those teachers back in our world. If I'm being honest,
mhm.
like just tell them like straight
Well,
out, like or
yeah,
just
we need some teachers like that, right?
yeah,
It, it,
yeah.
it's
No,
not great if
no,
everybody's that way, but
yeah, yeah,
having
yeah,
a
some,
yeah, having a mix is probably good.
yeah.
But
So
I wonder if nowadays everybody would have gone home and tweeted about this teacher being a dick, and then like would he have gotten in trouble with the school? You know,
probably,
that wouldn't have been
honestly,
great.
yeah,
Hmm.
probably. I mean, that's why I do hate about. If I was an art teacher, I'd be like, uh, I honestly don't know. I don't know how to approach it really. Because if you say
Hmm.
this, they're gonna go this. It goes. You say this way, they're gonna say this way. It's like it's so many arrows going everywhere now. There's like there's no
Hmm.
way to like say it bluntly. Like hey,
Yeah.
like and like I think this is I think I'm understanding now. I think why this is why teachers become lazy now or give that impression.
Yeah, I think it's probably really difficult to establish that everything you say is from a position of trying to make your students better, right?
Right.
And being unable to establish that, what are you gonna do? Um, and also having so many different students, right? Because some people that is not good. That's not gonna make them better, telling
Yeah.
everybody your work is shit. Like for some people, absolutely that's the way to do it. But not everybody. And so, you know, it's maybe it's too broad of a brush. That's a good
Yeah.
painting metaphor for you. It's too broad, maybe too broad of an approach, right? Um, but it's tough when you have a big class and everybody needs to be approached in a different way because you don't want to make your students feel like crap. Like that's
Or
not
maybe
good. That's not helpful. You know.
yeah. Well, maybe nowadays you do. Like honestly, I was
I'm not sure. Yeah, it's a really difficult it's a difficult position to be in. I don't envy it. That's for sure.
Oh yeah, I mean, I don't know. It's just because like
Hmm.
what I'm saying is like I think like they're becoming like entitled. That's I feel like they're getting like you can't tell me this or I do
Hmm.
this or I say this kind of thing, and I don't think that's unhealthy. Like, I think it's like unhealthy.
Hmm.
Because I go back to it. I think in today's world, or like if we stick with the art, it's like I think what we're missing is a lot of bluntness. Just be honest,
Hmm.
straight out. Just go with it, and that will like help the artist or the person grow.
I wonder if that's one of the benefits of doing more of a mentor-mentee thing, right? Is that you can
Yeah,
build a
yeah,
relationship and build the trust and sort of key into the individual needs of your student, and then you can tell them their work is shit after
yeah, yeah, yeah,
like after you have that, I wonder if that's probably I wonder if that'll be the model going forward, You can learn a lot of the skills on YouTube, but learning how to sort of conceptualize, you need to have that interaction,
mentor.
that relationship with professionals and maybe having 2 or 3 mentors plus all the online content, um, would be the better way of getting an art degree these days.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, I think like when you do one-on-one sort of like internships with tattoo shops or tattooers,
Mhm.
it got to be blunt because you're gonna be tattooing on a person's skin where you can't take that off easy, right? So they got to tell you,
Yeah.
hey, this is garbage. Like what are you
Yeah.
doing is complete garbage. So I think that I think you. I do agree. I think like the best way for artists now to like grow, in my opinion, is like, yeah, have cool mentors. Just because
Hmm.
they're not gonna lie. What they don't need to
Yeah.
lie. You know, they like this is like if this is what you want to do. I mean, in freelance world or you're working on with a company, they're gonna be blunt with you.
Yeah, for sure. And
They're
the
gonna be
tattoo world is no place for sugarcoating.
yeah, no place,
That
yeah,
is serious. That is serious. That's
yeah.
forever, permanent, and it's somebody's skin, and you gotta take that seriously. You can't there's no yeah, there's no sugarcoating.
Yeah, yeah. Or like even like if you're working on an animation or some
Mhm.
still stuff for like for companies, they gotta be
Mm.
because that's a lot of money in it. Like this is
Yeah.
where we're going with it. Like if you waste these, I don't know how they do it. I'm pretty sure they're like afraid now, not sell no more. But you know what I mean. Like you can't waste that. You cannot uh you can't say, oh, this looks okay, but next time can you do this better? Like you can't do that. You can like
No,
no,
they'll
no,
find
no.
someone
Like
else, right?
yeah, they would just fire you, find
Mhm.
someone else. Like you gotta do better and all
Yeah.
that. So
Mhm.
um and I don't know what's going on because like this got me really thinking because for you, college was a lot different experience
Mhm.
from way back in the day because right before YouTube, and now it's so much different and like, that gets me thinking of like, man, maybe this is the reason why a lot of again, my opinion, a lot of animations are kind of lazy now, or they're kind of like going a direction is kind of like, what the hell's going on? I don't know if it's because of marketing or artists, because artists are just been so in a bubble now. They're not taking any risks anymore. They're just trying to go with whatever works, I guess, or trying to be the same. Like what they call it's called Cal Arts animation now. Like it's all the
Mhm.
same now. So uh, maybe that's just the way I'm thinking now. It's like maybe they're not too blind. It's like you take more risks, or like what is going on now? Like I'm
Mhm.
or even the comic book world. I'm glad like you're actually lucky you don't read a lot of comic books now. Like if I'm
Well,
being honest.
there's a style, right? There's a style that they want.
Yeah, or storytelling now.
Mhm.
It's like they're going for. I'm not trying to go not like political or anything like that, but they're going for a certain market that don't really buy comic books,
Mhm.
and they're putting that comic books out, which for some reason they think is going to continue working, but it doesn't really work, or change the character just for the sake of to please a certain market that doesn't really.
Mhm.
It's just out of blue, out of nowhere, instead of going taking risks and taking something new, which doesn't really happen nowadays. They do sometimes, and
Yeah,
yeah,
I'm not too up on what Marvel and DC's doing lately. I haven't seen that in any of their stuff in quite a long
yeah,
time, but
yeah.
I really like a lot of the Image stuff, a lot of the creator-owned stuff. I think that
Oh yeah, yeah.
and
Indies.
yeah, the indie comics, it's a real like the antidote to the sort of corporate or mainstream homogenization is indie creators doing their own thing. And so the Cal Arts animation style, I mean, maybe there's a thousand different independent animators doing cool stuff, you know, instead of at the big studios. And
Yeah,
so that's got to be the antidote, right? And also, um, like artists can complain about the sort of the system, and they can complain about the mainstream and this and that, or they can make cool shit that's gonna make
yeah,
people like that's
yeah,
gonna change the mainstream and change the system, right? Because I bet if the big companies see indie stuff in this kind of style, doing this kind of work become really popular, then they'll change their business model to go to that, right? I mean, it's the good and the bad of it, right? They always kind of consume the small time creative stuff and make it their own. And that's kind of the churn, right? I think it always goes
yeah,
this way. So maybe
yeah. I
that's
mean,
the antidote, right? Like make better stuff than the big
yeah.
time studios.
I mean, I think that's what's kind of direction they're going because there's a lot of like indie comics are getting option for TV shows, movies instead of like they're making more shows for like
Mhm.
DC and Marvel, or they're like going downhill in quality.
Yeah.
And certain ones. And yeah, I mean, like I said, like for me, I'm not a big fan of like the Marvel DC comics right now. There's just like there's only cool ones here and there, but it's you gotta find those. They're not every story is just it's just the quality has gone down compared to how it was like even 10 years ago. Um, I think because there's just not that many risks involved no more a lot in the comic books, and also it's more restrict. compared to indie comics. So you're you have more freedom to do whatever you want indie compared to the Marvel and DC now. Um,
Yeah.
so I mean, I'm pretty sure if you read a Marvel DC comic, you'd be like, it's completely probably completely different, like to what you're used to.
Yeah, probably I guess I guess that in a way that's probably a good thing, right? Like,
Yeah,
if it was the
yeah,
same for the past 20 years, that would suck too, maybe for different
that's
reasons.
true. Yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, yeah.
And,
So
like, if I'm a big fan of, like, the '80s and '90s comics, right? There's a million comics from the '80s and '90s that I can go read. You know,
yeah,
I don't need Marvel and DC to still be making the same kind of stuff they were making back in the '80s and '90s, although it's nice if they once in a while would do something like that. And
yeah,
it's also cool that there's independent creators who love that time period and who make comics in that style still because that's their sort of their homage to that era. So, I think there will always be the stuff that I'm into. I think, I hope that stuff that I came up on will always exist in one form or another, but as the dominant kind of form that Marvel and DC are putting out, I would imagine not, and probably that's a good thing, even if it may sort of come in waves, right? Maybe they have 10 years of making really innovative things that are great, and then 10 years of making kind of crap that they think that this audience or that audience is gonna come to them for, and I'm sure it kind of goes in waves, just like any
yeah,
industry.
yeah, yeah. So, but yeah, we do have another question since like, how long you been on Twitch for?
I just had my 1 year,
Oh,
a few days
congratulations.
ago. Yeah, thank you. Yeah.
Since you've been in 1 year and you're sort of in
Mhm,
a new scene in art in the Twitch art, what do
mhm.
you think is the state of art on Twitch? Like in your opinion, good, bad, could be better, could be worse.
I think it's fantastic. I I wish so I heard you talking to Volpsy, I think, about it, and
Yes,
about how, like, Twitch used to be more supportive of artists, and now they're not.
yes,
So
yeah,
I missed out on that period, I guess, when Twitch was supportive of artists, so I'm not really sure what I'm missing.
yes.
But so that aside, all of the artists who I've met on Twitch are amazing. They're really nice people. The Twitch art
Yeah,
scene is super wholesome. I love how supportive it is. I love how wonderful everybody is. Like, it was a big surprise actually, because you know you go on and you're gonna start like live streaming your woodcuts, and you don't know what to expect if anybody cares or if anybody is it gonna be all trolls? Is it gonna be this or that? And it's not. There's none of that. And you hear all the horror stories about like the gaming on Twitch, and I haven't really encountered any of that in the art scene, at least so far. I don't know. Maybe it'll
yeah.
start happening,
Well, I
but
mean, like,
everybody is.
okay, okay.
No, no, please go ahead.
Oh no, I was gonna say because like we get a little bit trolls now, or not trolls, but bots now, because we got put in the RL section now
Mhm.
compared to how it was before. We used to be in our own section, but now we're like got blown up with RL for some reason.
Oh yeah, so for the longest time, I was like thinking I never got any of those bots, and I was thinking, what's wrong with me? These bots don't like me. And it turns out that I just have a really awesome moderator, printmaker, who has been taking care of the bots behind the scene, and I had
And
no
pretty much
idea that was going
you
on.
want to get hired?
So thanks, printmaker.
No,
I
I was
think they're in
kidding.
chat.
I'm kidding. I'm kidding. I'm kidding.
But yeah, yeah, knock on wood, right? So, um, uh, but aside from that, aside from that, I love it. I think it's wonderful. I think it's so great, and it's nice to be able to talk with people. I mean, for me, I've been in Taiwan for almost 14 years, and like, there's a great art community here, but it's really nice. It's been really nice to reconnect with sort of the art community back in the West and to kind of get to know artists back in the States and in Canada and all over the world who are doing cool stuff. And I like having it never occurred to me before that when I'm drawing, I can just put somebody's live stream on in the background, somebody who's making some awesome art, and just have that kind of as a backdrop. And every once in a while, I look up and go, "Oh, wow, that's coming along really cool." Like, it's really inspirational,
Yeah,
and
yeah.
I love having access to that. And in addition to that, all of the techniques. I've learned so much about making art. Right, this is sort of the side I was talking about that you don't need art school for anymore. because you can
Mhm.
see all these people who are making amazing paintings, who are making amazing all kinds of techniques and media that I don't even know about, that I haven't had access to. And you can just ask them like, "How do you do that?" And they'll tell you. And it's wonderful. And you just have all this knowledge and all this sort of skill right there in front of you, and everybody's really friendly and they're willing to share. So I like that a lot. I think that's one of the best things about doing art on Twitch has been that.
What is one thing that you wish Twitch would do for the artists?
Yeah, no, it's hard to say because I don't know what things used to be like. I
True,
guess
true,
from
true.
inferring from what I've heard people talk about, I would say put I don't know, put artists on their homepage more, maybe promote the artists more. I think Volpsy was saying that it would be great if there was a team for art. I guess that means there must be a team that deals with the gaming and a team that deals with the music and a team that deals with whatever sort of
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
genre. So I guess having a couple people on staff whose specific job is to do stuff for the artists, or I don't know, hear our feedback or promote us or do events. I don't know what exactly they would be doing. Um, but I assume that there's things that they've done before that they could resume doing. And it seems like uh, I don't know. I guess the Twitch art section is much smaller than the other sections, but it doesn't have to be. And it seems like it's a valuable aspect of what they do. So I guess it'd be nice to have some of that, to feel like they care, I guess.
I mean, yeah. It feels like yeah, we are. I've been on Twitch for about 4 years around
Mhm,
there. My first year was in gaming, and then 3 years in art and all that. But don't get me wrong, like my first year was like art. It was gaming and art. I switched like back and forth.
mhm.
But yeah, compared like how it was back then, it was like they believed in us. Now that they don't, like that's how it feels like to me now.
You know why?
Um, it's not as, in my opinion, it's money.
Hmm.
They don't believe there's not a lot of money involved in it, or they can't find anybody that will be uh that will push art, or like the team for artists. I
Mhm.
don't know. They don't want to find anybody, or I don't know. They could try to do artist ambassadors on Twitch, like they do Twitch ambassadors kind of thing. They could try to do that. That could
Well, it seems
work.
like there's a lot of crossover potential with the other sections too, because you always need art, right? They
Yeah,
like
yeah,
if they're
yeah.
doing an event, if they're doing an event with gaming or with music, they could use one of their own Twitch artists to design the logo for it, right? Or to do the transitions for their things. Like they could tap into this enormous pool of creative talent that they have, and it would also help cross promote their own stuff. Uh, like it seems like there's maybe a lot of opportunity there that they're not taking advantage of.
Yeah, yeah. There's a lot. I said this before. There's a lot of potential crossover with gaming and art. I mean, especially on Twitch.
Hmm.
Since a lot of a Twitch they use art like emotes, panels, logos, overlays.
Hmm.
Even when they do their own events, so they gotta hire a graphic designer to do their stuff and all that. So it goes even beyond that. Like even like with like streamers that have like orgs, they hire graphic designers to do certain like
Hmm.
sound effects or uh transitions, more than that, right? Um so it's kind of is weird. Like even when a game comes out, like let's say one example, so like using a lot was Resident Evil 8 when that game was coming out. The big vampire, I forgot her name. The big vampire woman was like trending and it was everywhere. And it's like, oh, why didn't Twitch did not do like a competition of artists
Hmm.
to promote the game, and so people could like get ready for it, people to stream it on Twitch, stuff like that.
Hmm.
Uh, or something like that, like or Ratchet and Clank contests, or to showcase. Hey, if you showcase this, you can win this, or you could do this, or something like that. Or even do like a small Twitch rival. 30-minute drawings of like you gotta do this. All right, it's like competition, something like that. I don't know. I'm just saying there's a lot of potential it's not been tested. That I feel like they should be testing it and give it a try,
Yeah.
and just There's so much
A
things
lot
that
of
people
room
could
for
do.
cross promotion, right?
Yeah, there's a lot of room
Yeah.
for cross promotion. They did it once on The
Mhm.
Last Guardian about when that game came out. It was an art contest for The Last Guardian. A lot of artists did it, and after that, that was the only time that I remember they did that. After that, silence.
Hmm.
No, I think it was the company that wanted to do it, but I guess the other companies don't want to do it or something. I don't know, but I don't know. It's just weird.
Well, again, like maybe like with the comics industry, right? Maybe this stuff goes in waves, and maybe eventually they'll figure out that they have all this untapped talent pool that they could take advantage of. Um, and or take advantage of might be the wrong word, that they could cooperate with, and maybe they'll figure it out. Who knows?
I think like I don't think they'll like ever figure it out. I think somebody needs to like tell them.
Yeah.
And at this point, and I don't want to sound like a jerk or anything like that. I'm just saying like at this point, it's something like, all right, you guys gotta sit down and listen. Like this is
Hmm.
what we have a plan, and this is I think what we could do. But we need someone who has more influence as an artist. Like one of the big influences, 39 Daft. She's like one of the biggest artists on Twitch. She does
Hmm.
gaming and does art too as well. Like someone like her or Pseudo or like someone that is like big in the art world and on Twitch will really help like bring it more into light of like
It'd be nice
potential.
if Bob Ross would speak up on our behalf.
Oh yeah. I mean yeah, he's one of the biggest ones, right?
Come on, Bob.
Do it, Bob. um, and so yeah, I mean that's like that's something they could do, or even like
Mhm.
even when like an animated like the thing is could even go beyond music. You know how like Twitch is also doing like watch parties or they're doing
Mhm.
some anime events here and there. They could easily do like, hey, this show's coming out for an anime event. There's ads right there. Let's do a art concert for this anime character or
Yeah,
something like
right.
that. You know what I mean? Or just to promote it. As artists,
Mhm.
just to promote it or something like that, or to do it, and then I don't know, just something like they could. I'm pretty sure easily could figure out to do a lot of that stuff to promote it.
They could
Um,
commission a few things for a giveaway, like, it probably
yeah.
wouldn't cost them that much money. Commission a small pieces and do some giveaways to get people in.
But yeah, I mean, it's a constant struggle, and I don't even know what's gonna happen because like this year we're not even having a TwitchCon, so we can't
Mm,
really do anything right now. But next year, hopefully, next year TwitchCon we could like push it more and hopefully they do better at TwitchCon because the artist alley is one of the big things why people do go to cons and expos and stuff like that because I remember going to Anime Expo or even on TwitchCon. There's just people already waiting just for the artist alley alone. They're not even going for the main show. They're going for the artist alley. It is an attraction, so I don't know.
mhm.
It is. I don't know. I just do feel like Twitch does not really respect artists as much, and I'm and continue fighting. I mean, there's all and I think a part of it is also is our fault. I think because we kind of like been silent about it for like the longest time. We're not as vocal. I think
Mhm.
that's just my opinion, of course. I think like because I think we're not as if we're just gonna be silent, they're just gonna be like whatever. They're just gonna pass by us. And that's just my opinion. I think we could have just we could if we were more vocal about it. I think they'll listen, but not like in
Mhm.
a way where we have notches or something like that. I'm just like, hey, I got these ideas. I think we could do this. I think this could work. Let's give it a try or something like that. I don't know.
Yeah.
So as you can see, I'm always frustrated with Twitch with his art because I do want to see artists like blow up even more. Like I want to
Yeah, it would be nice.
do a bigger crossovers and stuff like that.
Mhm.
And there's a
Yeah.
big potential of it too. And not only that, because you can also get even bigger like for sponsorships, like for art products and stuff like that. So
Mhm.
they want to go for like the money wise, and then try to push that too. Then, but yeah. Do you have any opinions about? We're gonna go completely different on this, but do you have any opinions for about NFTs? And it's completely something new.
I have no opinions on NFTs, actually. I don't know enough about it. So I obviously I'm primarily a traditional artist, so I'm not entirely sure. Uh, I guess I could make a scan and turn it into an NFT. I don't really know. Um, I'm quite ignorant on that whole world, so I'm kind of just waiting to see how it develops. I have a couple of friends who are into that and who are
Okay.
doing NFTs. I think if I understand it correctly, so like if I draw a comic book page, then
Yeah.
I can go to a con and I can sell the original art, right? Or I can sell it online, and
Yeah.
that's sort of you get extra income. You get the money from whatever you're drawing the comic for, and then you get money from selling the page.
Yeah.
And if you've been a digital artist, you don't really have that option. And so I suppose that an NFT would be what you would do. I could be wrong. I might be misunderstanding how the
Well,
whole thing is, but you could turn that into an NFT and you could sell that. And I think that that's if it's a way of getting digital artists a bit more of a sort of um, a bit more of that thing, then that's great. But I don't really know too much else about it.
yeah, I mean, it's something very new. And it is a way for digital artists to finally make more
Hmm.
income for them. Um, and but even traditional artists, there is a way for traditional artists to make income of it too. Like for example, they could scan it, they could put it out
Hmm.
on Photoshop, something like that, fix it up a little bit or something, and they could sell that as an NFT and still have the original and then sell that too as well. Like you could still keep it and sell it because
Hmm.
it's really like you're not really owning the artwork itself. You're just owning the image with attachable address that has it is worth some money. If that makes
Hmm.
sense. Um. So I mean, there are like so what people are doing now is NFTs is changing a lot more now. Where like they're not really making like big art pieces no more. They're making profile pictures of them. The
Hmm.
same character, the same image, just different variations. That's what they're like. A lot of artists are doing now for NFTs, which is again it's still a crazy market. It's a weird market. Even like I'm just saying like if you're a digital artist, I think people should just take advantage of it now. Then, I mean, if you could just use the same character, same image, just change the variation, why not? It's fast money, or it won't be like easy money, but even if you make like $20, $10 here and there, but you could do so many in so a little time. You know,
Yeah,
it's
I
crazy.
think if it's a way to empower artists, then it's great. And if it's a way for Wall Street or Silicon Valley to take advantage of artists and screw them over, then it's terrible. So I think I've heard people say it both ways.
Yeah, yeah.
Um,
There's always like pros and cons to it, especially something
yeah,
new. Yeah, because there are people are selling artwork and just uploading them themselves, which is not a good thing. But the good news is, I believe if you see it, you could, well, like you could like tell them, so they'll take it down and stuff, and the person will get in trouble and all that. So, but yeah, I mean, this is the new world, the new age of collecting now.
yeah, for sure.
They're uploading cards too as well, like trading
Mm.
cards. They're uploading that now too. It's just so weird. It's really weird.
Yeah,
But
who knew the future would be like this, right? I don't know if any sci-fi foresaw NFTs.
yeah. I mean, there was certain something like that already, but it was still physical, and that was with the
Mhm.
with the Pepe, the frog.
Yeah,
Yeah, so they made like collectible cards of that, and that became like there's even like a Homer Pepe that's worth like $1 million or something like that. But it was like it's kind of like sort of like the beginning of that NFT kind of thing. Because these were not legitimate cards at all. It was just the cards that people were just making, and
yeah.
I guess it became more rare somehow. I really don't know how it works. It's so weird, but then it kind of like translates to online now, like, where you could just collect a card there. Like you could get like a technically you could own a first edition Charizard but in digital. If they decide to upload it there. It's really
Uh-huh.
weird. It's very weird because you don't have it physical, but you have it online. I don't know. It's like they're grading online images. If that makes sense.
Right, right.
Like because when you grade a card or when you grade an item, it's more valuable, right? That one specific thing. So there's million of them. There's thousands of them. But if you don't make it as an NFT and sell it, it's not gonna be worth as much.
Right. So it's like a certificate of authenticity kind of.
Yeah. Yeah, so it's like and like by itself, the image like you get commissioned, like say it was $80, something like that you did it for a commission, or you could put it on on OpenSea or something like that, and then it's like if it sells, it could go up to 1,000 or even more. Who knows how much? And it's just sort of like, oh, it's more official now in a way, in a weird way. So I mean, there's just so much different
Yeah.
avenues, but pros and cons to this. It's still very new. It's still very new. But yeah, I mean, um, if you're a digital artist or if you do digital, might as well take advantage of it.
Hmm.
Why not? Um, and oh, actually, speaking of commissions, what is the weirdest commission you ever gotten or heard of an artist getting?
Weirdest commission I've ever gotten. Uh, I haven't gotten a lot of weird commissions. Most of my commissions are normal.
Uh,
Yeah.
lucky.
I yeah, and I mostly do uh I do mostly work from photographs, like portraits or pet portraits or
Hmm.
restaurants, like interiors or exteriors of buildings, things like that. And I did one for a couple friends of mine actually who got married, and they gave me a whole list of things that were important to their relationship, and I made a woodcut sort of incorporating all of that, and
Hmm.
then that was the thing that I think people came in and they signed at the wedding. Like, it was on the
Oh, okay,
easel at the
okay.
entry, right? And so that was pretty cool. But no, not a lot of weird stuff. No, not yet, at least. Anybody out there who wants a commission of some weird shit, yeah, send me a
Well,
message.
there you go. So I was going to ask that question. Would you do weird stuff for commission? Like, say, hey, I want this, like, sorry, bro, and hentai would cut.
It would depend. It would depend on if it was tasteful or not.
Okay,
Yeah.
yeah, for sure. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, tasteful
Yeah,
hentai. I mean, yeah, I wouldn't do anything that was like, um, that I obviously nothing that depicts anything illegal or anything super graphic, like,
right.
I'm not so much into gore. Definitely no cruelty to animals, I wouldn't do anything like that, but, yeah, something tasteful.
Even just some
I I
woodcut.
I like, well, there's traditional Japanese woodcuts that are like erotica, right? It's like it's total
Oh,
porn. Total porn, and they're from
right,
the 1800s, and they're
right.
hilarious, and they're really, like, delicately made, and,
Yeah.
I think they're wonderful, yeah.
Oh,
So,
there you
yeah.
go. Would you try it out? Just try it out.
I mean,
Like
if somebody commissioned it, and
right.
it
Yeah.
was tasteful, then yeah, probably. I've nothing against, sex or nudity, I mean, there's a lot of nudity in my art, so because, you come from a traditional fine arts background, you're doing figure drawing all the time, so it's
Oh,
not that
that's
big of
true.
a
That's true.
deal. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. Okay. Well, there you go, guys.
Yeah,
You
so
would. You
so
would.
there we are,
There you go. So that's
the
the
new
other
series.
commissions he was willing to do. So,
Mhm.
send him a message now if you guys want that. I mean, why not, right? I mean, yeah, of course, it has to be like not importation or anything like that. But if it's
Mhm.
like, I'll give it a try. I mean, something new or something
Mhm.
I haven't done in a while. Like you said, like you've done it before, because like when you're learning how to do the body and all that.
Yeah.
So there you go. So if you guys want to do any of that possible hentai stuff, this is your chance. You never know. Um, I mean, hey, this is something like you be cra- I hear stories about like when since been doing this podcast, I hear stories about what artists are willing to do, and like
Mhm.
some people in their own community are like, I never know that, like because it's kind of weird because a lot of artists don't feel like they can say that in their streams
Mhm.
because it's too out of like 360, right? It's like out of the ordinary. But now it's
Yeah.
like now like to have this kind of platform, but like yeah, why not? Like they have like more.
Well, like,
But
my stream is, all ages, so I try not to swear, and I try not to
yeah.
show certain pieces I've done, but, like, I don't know, we're adults, can make stuff. It's not a big deal. And, like, I mean, my graphic novel is for mature audiences, it's definitely 18 plus,
Oh,
It
okay.
has, adult scenarios, it has nudity, it has drug use, um, so, like, it's, I'm fine with making stuff like that, But I like doing the live stream all ages because I think
Right.
people
Yeah. It
want to
makes
come in and
sense.
see you make a woodcut. Like
Makes sense.
they shouldn't be able shouldn't be blocked because they're not old enough.
Right. Right. Yeah. Yeah. That makes sense. That makes sense. As a streaming kind of thing, like better to have a wider audience and kind of like more of a
Mm,
niche audience that that watches that, or you could just like check out your Instagram and other socials for that kind of stuff, right?
yeah.
How do you price your work?
Yeah, that's an interesting question. So like I've been doing this professionally for a long time, so I've gradually kind of come to a point where I know what the right price is for my stuff. But
Right.
it also changes depending on your audience. So like if I sell stuff in Taiwan directly out of my studio, it's cheaper, right? It's wholesale. If I'm selling it at a gallery and the gallery takes 50%, you have to charge more for it.
Hmm.
But it's mostly based on the size of the piece, if it's color, black and white. Um, or were you asking about commissions? I'm sorry, maybe you're asking about commissions, not about work in general.
Well, it's either both because like commission wise, it also depends on like how much time you put on it,
Yeah.
materials and stuff like that, and
Mhm.
also the image and stuff like that.
Yeah. So yeah, my commissions pricing is all on my website, but yeah, it's based on size and it's based on sort of the complexity of the image and if they want it in color or black and white. So if it's painted, it's a little bit more. And I also do pen and ink commission stuff too, which is a little bit cheaper than the woodcuts because you don't have to carve it all out. But um, yeah, uh, there's a range of the pricing is a wide range, and I do the giant woodcuts that are much more expensive, of course, than the little ones. Oh yeah, there it is. You have it on the screen.
Yeah, yeah,
All the
yeah. I'm just
stuff.
like setting
Yeah.
up right now. I'm like zooming in and all that. There you go. But yeah, yeah. So let's see. Price starts at 100 for black and white postcard, and then it goes from there, right?
Mm.
Oh yeah, so it's pretty much straight out, and then it's also like we wanted to get a color version or something like that, or just
Mhm.
like for the actual woodcuts, or what do you do? Like, do you send the woodcuts, or you send a print of it, and then
I send the prints. The blocks are more expensive if they want the blocks. It's more like a sculpture, and that's sort of we negotiate that if they want it, except for the emotes. So I do the woodcut emotes. I have like here, and if people order the emotes like
oh,
this,
let me see
then
this
they
real
get the
quick.
block as well.
That's funny.
Yeah, so I make a digital file and for online, and then I also will send print with the block if requested.
Oh, there you go. There are your emails. I love your emails. Very easy to
Thanks.
read it. Yeah, very cool.
Yeah.
So that's really cool. So like, so you will actually send the little small ones, the little block ones, or
Yep. Yep. And
uh,
those are a lot of fun to make. I really like making emotes. I like the first of all, I think that black and white woodcut is a it makes it easier to make an emote in a black and white woodcut
oh
because
yeah,
you're
yeah,
already
yeah,
constrained. Like at the scale, you can only carve so detailed, so you have to. It's already kind of simplified, so you're forced to think about it in that sense already. And
yep.
then uh, and I just like having the little stamps. I think that I just like the size of them, and they're fun to make. They don't take that long, and just it's a fun challenge trying to communicate an idea in a little tiny picture that's going to read, and only using black and white is also an extra kind of part of the challenge. So it's sort of it bridges the gap between like fine art and graphic design, and it's always an interesting challenge.
Yeah, yeah, because like in emails, is always less is more, especially in
Mhm.
emails. You know what I mean? Like you
Yeah, yeah, exactly.
yeah, yeah, because I'm also an emo artist, and it's like that's something I had to learn. It's like you can't even if the artwork's good, if you do a lot on it, it's
Mhm.
not as good as an email. It's just worthless because you can't read it.
And I think it would be much more challenging doing them digitally, because if I'm doing something digitally like that, like, I'm always tempted to zoom in real close and, kind of just go way overboard with the little stuff, and it's so
Yeah,
hard just
yeah.
to keep yourself zoomed out at a size that's gonna be readable and, like, work at that size. I think it would be much more challenging to do digital emotes, so, respect to you.
No, yeah, yeah. It's something you gotta get used to for sure.
Mhm.
Cause like before, I'm like, oh, I gotta do two shading. I used to do two shadings, a little details. I'm like,
Hmm.
I think I'm doing too much. Just one shade is
Yeah, right.
fine. You know, you don't have to go too overthink it. You don't have to go crazy on the eyes. You don't have to go do this and that. Like
Mhm.
you could do it, but for the most part, I prefer less simple eyes and face and all that because less is more. Less is lot more readable than more complicated designs. And like the
Yeah.
art, like I said, when they asked me like my opinion, oh, what do you think of my email? I'm like, no offense, but it's the trash email. Good artwork, but it's not gonna work as an email because too much going on. You have too much going. Like you have
Mm.
too many little details. You need to erase all of that. You need to
Yeah.
you need to think simple. You need to think less. Because and then yeah, some will get offended, but they asked me so. I mean, what do you want from me?
Yeah.
Like it's like I gotta be honest. Like I'm not
Yeah.
saying the artwork is trash. I'm saying as an emo is trash.
Mhm.
Maybe sometimes I'm too blunt, but I'm like as an emo, it's not gonna work. It's like what else you want me to tell you? Like like what else you want me to tell you? Um, but yeah. So that's really cool. They have like straightforward permissions and all that. And also remember, I want to remind you guys, he's willing to do nudity.
That's right.
uh, well, actually, this is gonna be like I don't think it's gonna be relevant this question to you. But I'll ask it because you never know. Has anyone's like ever caught anyone stealing your art in some way?
No, no, I haven't, and I have opinions though.
Oh, okay, there you go. All
If
right.
somebody stole my work, it would suck, and I feel bad for anybody who has their work stolen, like, that really sucks. On the other hand, it's quite flattering, you
Yeah,
know?
yeah,
Somebody
yeah,
thinks
yeah.
it's good enough that they wanted to steal it, and uh, so yeah, there's that, and, like, I used to think about it more in the physical space 'cause, my studio is in a building, and there's a gallery in the front of the studio, and then my studio is in the back, and so we have a lot of events. There's a
Right.
bunch of artists who have studios in this space, so we have a lot of events in person, and I have open studio, and people come through, and, you know, if somebody really wanted to, they could grab something off my table and steal it, and so
Oh,
I've
true.
always thought about how I would feel about that, and it would suck because the thing would be gone, but I'd be kind of flattered too. You know, they're willing to risk whatever because
Yeah.
they like my work so much. Um, so I'm of 2 minds of it. I think it's not good and it's terrible, but it's kinda like, you know, you gotta make lemonade. Gotta
Yeah, yeah.
find the upside in it. I think digitally, if somebody steals your work and they're selling it on a website or something without attribution and they're making money off your work,
Yeah.
I've heard artists who have this problem, and it seems like a lot of the platforms are not very responsive or quick in getting it taken down. And
NFTs.
yeah, sure, yeah, and, like,
Yeah.
it's really shitty, and they should be better about that. If they're stealing something that's digital, at least you have, you know, you have hopefully, a file of it, right? So you have your own version of it. Whereas if somebody sort of steals a wood block out of your studio, like, it's gone, and that's that. But it's, no, don't steal art, people. It's
Um.
like, come on. Artists
Okay.
are not you're stealing from the poor. It should be the other way around. If you're gonna steal, you know, do the Robin Hood way. Don't do it this way. Artists are the last people you should be stealing from.
Okay. So there is something I did want to talk about. It's a new segment of the podcast.
Mhm,
This so I've been looking at a lot of TikTok, the art a lot lately, and I noticed the lines getting blurry of fan art and stealing art a lot.
mhm,
So there's a trend going on where there's artists that, uh, my opinion, they're not artists. They're just yeah, they have a cool technique, but they're not artists to me
mhm,
personally. There are a I saw a rug artist who what he does is pretty much just trace the image whatever he finds on the internet and makes that into a rug.
mhm.
So in your opinion, how do you feel about that? They don't change anything. They just to just trace over it and make it into a rug.
Yeah, so in art school, actually, we learned about this. If you change an image a certain amount, certain percentage, right, then it's
Right,
okay to use. It's like fair
right,
use. So there's
right,
fair use rules.
right,
And I think there was something litigated in court not long ago where somebody was like taking an image directly and then turning it into a sculpture or something without
right.
changing it, except changing the form. And I think that was considered not fair use, but I don't really know. So
Uh-huh.
it's blurry, right?
Right.
If you're in the realm of fair use, then it's good because that's how things progress, right?
Mhm.
Uh, everybody's work is derivative of everybody else's work that came before them.
Right.
If you're swiping somebody's thing, so putting it on a rug is tough, right? Because you're putting it on a rug, and that's a totally different art form.
Yeah, yeah, but it's just
So
tracing.
yeah, that's a tough one. It's hard to
Yeah,
say. I
it's hard
think
to say, right? Yeah.
ideally you would get permission of the artist to use their piece for the rug, right? But I don't know. I think that's in the gray area. I'm gonna take
Yeah,
the
yeah.
cop out answer and say gray area.
Yeah,
It's
yeah.
better if you produce your own images, but
Right, right.
but like being inspired by somebody's thing and making something because you're inspired by it is that's the way art has always progressed and always gone. So
Right. I'm just saying because like, it's all just trace, right? So,
mhm,
and they're selling it too.
mhm. Well, it's not necessarily traced if they're making it on like a carpet, right? Like
Well,
I don't know how you I don't know how you make a carpet, but
the image is on like on the wall, and they just trace over it. Like they
mhm,
add different layers, the colors, whatever they need, and they
mhm,
trace over that, and that's pretty much how they do it. They don't
mhm.
like they don't do it like for freehand or anything like that. It's just all trace into, and they make it into a carpet.
Yeah, I guess I'm not sure. Yeah, because that's kind of infringing on merch territory too. Because I guess you could have your own art put on a carpet and sell it.
Yeah,
If you're not doing that,
it's mostly like anime, gaming characters, it's just still
mhm.
images of them and stuff like that.
Yeah, I guess I'm not familiar enough with the specific examples to have a fully formed opinion on it.
Okay,
Um, so yeah, gray area, I guess, but
well,
I can totally see the argument for both sides, and I think it's probably case by case.
yeah. Well, there's another TikTok trend. Have
Mhm.
you heard about anime glass art or glass
Anime
art?
class.
Not anime
No.
specific glass art. So what they do is another form of trace is they print out image of an anime game character stuff like that, and they put a mirror on top of it and they trace it with a sharpie or whatever you want to use.
Hmm.
And they what they do is they kind of like they do it the reversal way where they start doing the outline and they trace the shading. Like there's nothing changed, just complete trace.
Hmm.
And then put it in a mirror and they sell that. So that's another trend going on. It's just kind of similar to the rug, but this time it's on glass.
Yeah, I'm not sure either. I haven't seen this, so I don't really
Oh, here's
like I
a
said, I don't really have
I
a fully
found
formed opinion on it.
yeah, yeah,
Yeah, I think
something
I
like that
think
right there.
sorry, there's a delay, so I can't see quite yet, but
Yeah, yeah,
uh um in my understanding, like if you're copying a picture that another artist has made to learn from it, then that's a good thing. And if you're
right,
selling that, then maybe that's not a good thing.
yeah, they're
You
selling
probably
it.
shouldn't sell other people's work. But I don't know, because you're okay, I see now.
Yeah,
Like you're changing the format, and if the artist doesn't have this for I don't know.
it
Yeah,
is.
it's tricky.
I've been
It's
saying
tricky, right?
a lot of them are selling it. They're not doing it
Yeah.
for just to have it. A lot of them are for profit.
Yeah, I don't know. It's tricky. And also I don't know the background on the individual artists and the relationship they have
True.
with the original artist. Um, so maybe there's stuff going on behind the scenes that I don't know about or we don't know about.
Most
So
likely, no. It's on
I
TikTok.
can't make a definitive statement. I don't even have TikTok, so
Yeah, yeah.
I'm even further away from it. Yeah, I'm sorry I can't be
No, no,
more
no.
definitive.
I'm just curious. It's something new that I like for me. I already got my opinion on it. Like I already said that I don't think these people are artists. My personal opinion.
Mhm.
It's just tracing, just complete tracing. They're not changing
Well,
anything.
there's a certain craft to it, I would
No, no,
say.
yeah. There's a certain technique.
Mhm.
I do
Yeah,
get that. There's certain technique to what they do, but
mhm,
it's something that anybody could do. At this
yeah,
point, it's just tracing to the point. Like, there's nothing. They're not modifying it. They're not really because, like I said, they trace like everything from the shading to the lines and all that. There's nothing.
mhm.
There's no modifications. There's nothing really. There's nothing to it, really.
Mhm.
Like, where it's like it's gonna be, it's like a challenge or anything like that. Like, it is what it is. Where like they're selling it, to make money off of it. Like, it is what it is. Like, there's no way stopping it. You know
Mhm.
what I mean? It's just too
Well,
broad.
it's also interesting, like, that person the person who drew that's, Princess Peach, right?
Right.
So the person who made that drawing, like, are they working for Nintendo? Do they have the rights to
No,
the
I'm pretty.
IP for Princess
No,
Peach? So this is kind of even like it's,
no. There's Goku and there's
it's a
Dish.
further step, right? Like, the original artist of that piece who drew Princess Peach, is using a character that somebody else created, and they're doing a drawing of it.
Yeah,
So it's maybe like, I think there's a spectrum, right, there's the person who invented Princess Peach and who drew the picture, uh, who drew the original design of the character, right? And they are sort of the most ownership of this character in the image. And then there's the person who drew like the fan art of her, who doesn't own the IP but made an awesome drawing. And then there's the person who did it on the glass, who doesn't own the drawing but made a sort of an awesome sculpture or a piece of art about that,
yeah,
right?
yeah, yeah,
And so this is where the gray area comes in, right? Where do
yeah,
we draw the
yeah,
line?
yeah.
Because I think fan art is awesome, and I think that
Oh yeah, yeah,
that
yeah, yeah.
companies who own IP should be happy and supportive of people who do fan art of their work. And so I guess the problem would be the artist whose work was used on the thing is not as big as the company, right? So the company's not gonna feel a financial hit if somebody's doing fan art of their character necessarily, but maybe the
Right.
artist whose work is being put on the mirror or on the window or whatever is gonna be if they're feeling a financial hit from this piece, then that sucks. I would hope that the person who made that would credit the original artist somewhere on the piece, but I'm assuming they don't?
Well, we've seen some people get caught, but they
Mhm.
only do it when they get caught
Ah,
or when somebody
I
calls them
see.
out. They won't do it if it's like nobody's saying anything. That's fine.
Mhm.
That's what I've been seeing lately. So I'm just asking like artists like what they think about this and stuff like that because I'm very
Yeah.
curious of other people's opinions because they'll be like, oh, I never thought of it that way, because I don't believe in one sided only kind of thing. Like for me it's like I don't like it, but then you're like, it's kind of great because I do understand there's a new technique to it, and
Mhm.
then there's just a different way to doing it. And
Mhm.
then yeah, so I don't know. It's just I'm just gonna be very curious of like artists' answers,
Well,
because I
it's a tricky area, right? And I think this
yeah,
debate
yeah,
goes
100%,
back
100%.
100 years at least, right?
Oh
Like, they
yeah,
have, the Duchamp piece where he took the urinal and he put it upside down on a pedestal in a gallery, right? And he signed his name on it, or he signed, "Our Mutt" on it, and sold this as like a sculpture. And on the one hand, it's sort of important piece of art because it's recontextualizing something like a daily object as art. But on the other hand, I always felt bad for, like, the person who designed the urinal and the person in the factory who produced the urinal. Like, I felt bad for the people who actually made the thing that weren't getting any of the money off of the recontextualization of this of the fountain art piece. And
yeah.
so I think that, I don't know, there's a long history, and it's fraught, and it's definitely there's so much gray area. It's fog, right? So
Well,
yeah.
like this person is doing batches,
Mhm,
which is this person's smart. I'm not gonna lie about this. So they're doing batches of the same image on the window, and they
mhm.
print out those. Have you seen those color where it kind of they tell you where to color the numbers? You get the right
Paint by
color
number,
image.
yeah, yeah, paint by
Yeah,
number.
so they're doing pay by number with the glass now too. The trace
Yeah.
art, and they print out the pay by number, and then they do that. Doing batches of that.
Yeah, I
Uh,
think I guess that's the kinda thing you're supposed to license, right?
yeah,
But
yeah.
but once
Supposedly, yeah,
again,
yeah.
like
Unless this is the original art, then I'm not gonna like unless this is their art, which now that I'm looking at it, I think it could be their art, which
mhm,
is very smart, very like that's the way to go about it, right? That I
mhm,
don't know this character. I don't know if this is the actual someone if they stole it or anything like that. But if it's not, this is the way to go about it, right? Like to sell stuff
mhm.
like that.
Yeah.
for like stuff like with like anime characters like the Naruto one that I'm showing. There's no change in that. So what they do, I think like so like right here will be is this image online that somebody created? I think so, right? And then I think they just printed it out and they just went over it and then they did it that way. So
But
it's kind of like
is that their original character? Or is that,
that's Naruto. So it's like it's that's like an anime character, you know what I mean? So it's like that's taken somewhere online, right? But for
yeah.
this, the batches stuff like that, where they're selling a bunch of batches, like I don't know, I don't recognize the character. So if like they do it this way, and then they start selling that way, I think that's way more prefer.
Mhm.
Um, yeah,
It's
again,
definitely, there's a spectrum of sort of what's more
yeah,
acceptable and less acceptable, right? And
right, right. I
I
mean,
think
because they have,
everybody probably has an opinion that falls somewhere along that, and
yeah,
finding what is I mean, and there's 2 kinds of considerations, I think, with this sort of thing. There's
mhm,
first of all, there's what's legally acceptable, and
right,
then there's what's, like, morally acceptable, and I think those are 2 different things as well. Like, how morally okay does it feel for somebody to be doing this? And also, what does the law have to say about it? Like, if the creator wants to sue, will
Perfect
they be
time.
successful or not? And does that influence the moral argument one way or the other as well? If that makes
yeah.
any sense.
No, no, it does.
Mm,
It's just. I mean, like, I mean, if we're being honest, a lot of artists are breaking the laws when it comes to fan art. Like,
mhm,
in
mhm,
some ways, right? Unless you like modify it, right?
mhm.
Uh,
But then, like,
eh,
it's kind of morally okay to do fan art, like,
to
it's
learn
sort
it.
of generally accepted, and it's
Oh yeah,
awesome,
yeah,
and
yeah.
if you weren't allowed to do fan art, that would suck
Oh yeah,
because
yeah,
fan
one
art
hundred
is
percent.
wonderful, and, like, let's hope it doesn't someday come to that, but, yeah, it's all about where you draw the line, and everybody's line is gonna be different, I suppose, and, I mean, if somebody's having a hard time getting by and this is their livelihood,
Yeah,
like, does that make it more okay than
yeah.
if they're just totally sort of stealing just because they can make a ton of money, but they're not like, if if somebody really needs this source of income for making stuff like that,
Right, right.
does that make it more okay? Or does that affect the debate in any way at all? Like, do you need to take that sort of a thing into consideration as well? I'm not really sure, but I
Yeah.
think I would have more I don't know, I would be probably more okay with it if that were the case, even though that has no influence whatsoever on the legal sort of argument for it, right?
Right, like if you
Uh,
didn't like, oh, I mean, you go from like logical to emotional kind of thing,
yeah, yeah,
right? So like logically, you shouldn't be doing it.
mhm,
Emotionally, you never know what's going
mhm,
on because like yeah,
yeah,
fan art is a great way to learn. Like one in the comments, like it's a great way to learn. I started with fan art, learning and with the characters I love from like Digimon, Pokemon, Yu-Gi-Oh, etc. And I started
mhm,
doing that, and that's how I learned how to do art. And that's a lot of
mhm,
artists that I've been hearing is how they started doing art and all that.
mhm.
Um,
Yeah, so I started
mo-
doing art too, right, drawing out of comic
yeah,
books.
right.
But, like, I do master studies now of artists I admire, but I don't sell
That's
the
where it
drawings I
comes.
make, right?
Right, that's where it's like the argument goes like,
Mhm,
but when you're selling it, that's where it, legally that's wrong to do. But it's like it's something they thought of that
mhm,
nobody else thought of. Like this person, like I said, I just checked their channel, and no disrespect to this artist or anything like that. Maybe they do original or not, but like they thought of something new where like the
mhm,
number color thing, like this is Todoroki. I guess they're selling as a package kind of thing with paints and stuff like that. That's something
mhm.
new, something fun for artists or even people just do it as a hobby for fun. That's something very a very very fun thing to do, right? Like or to learn like colors and stuff.
And that's
Um,
another thing to take into consideration too, I guess, right,
yeah,
is there some kind of a novel creative aspect to this that wasn't existing before?
yeah,
And are we glad that this has been brought into the world, uh, where it didn't exist before, right? Has
yeah,
it contributed to the culture in some way that we're happy about, regardless of all the other issues? I think maybe that has a little bit of weight as well as to where it falls on that scale of acceptability. If it's 100% completely derivative in every single way, then maybe it's less sort of less good. And and if it introduces some kind of a new creative element that we've not seen, then maybe that's uh, more or less good. Yeah, something like that.
Yeah. I mean, because like even I could like this gives me an idea. I could do that with my own characters.
Mhm. Yeah,
Since
sure.
I do
Mhm,
a lot more original stuff, I could like,
mhm,
oh, I could just do that easy. I could do the
mhm.
outline, put the numbers, and send them off. For
But
like
then
fun kits. You know.
now are you stealing this person's technique without
Exactly.
their
That's the
permission,
word.
right?
That's what I'm saying. That's what it's got. Like
Yeah.
that's another thing. That's like an argument. Like, now, am I stealing them and their technique? Because
Mhm.
a lot of people are
Yeah,
doing the glass art now, but the
yeah.
idea of them putting in the numbers and making it into a fun kit. Am I gonna get in trouble for that? Because I'm thinking
Mhm.
they're stealing artwork, so it gets all great. It gets all weird up, all bundled up.
Yeah.
Like technically, okay, yeah, I'm still an idea, but honestly, in today's age, everybody steals ideas and try to make it their own kind of thing, right?
Mhm.
And well, they're stealing those characters to make those fun kits. So who is right or wrong? Like
It's
it's so
fraught.
vague. Yeah,
Yeah.
it's so vague and all that. So,
Mhm,
but I mean, yeah, because yeah, like I just like wait, maybe cause I've been thinking about. It, I was like, wait, can I just do that with my characters?
mhm.
I'll be doing it legally, but also be stealing somebody else's idea.
Yeah.
Because I could do it with my own characters, right, with my own kits and stuff. But then,
Mhm.
wait, but I'm also stealing someone else's idea of them doing that. But then again, the number thing has been done before. This is in a different way. It's confusing. Like what is
I
right
think
or wrong,
it's
right?
a very interesting topic, and,
Yeah,
I think it's a really important topic too, and I think that it's gonna just I think it's gonna be one of those things where either it's just gonna be the Wild West forever, or gradually everybody will kind of agree on what's acceptable and what's not, and we'll get to that point. But it's, in the meantime, we're just gonna have to work through it, 'cause I all this stuff is pretty new, the ability to
yeah,
do these things and put
yeah.
them out there, like, we're still kind of at the start of this world, and it's just gonna take it's gonna take time to work out what's acceptable and what's not.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. I was just like very curious. I mean, like I'm like well about this stuff. You're the first artist to ask this too. Like I've been wanting to ask something like this for like for a while. Like I'm really curious of artists' opinion about it. Like some
Mhm.
people say it's
So I've
completely
given you the
wrong.
best answer so far.
So far, you're in the
Okay.
middle. You give me like the middle answer.
The
Because I
middle
have
answer.
like because I did ask a couple other questions before, like similar to this, like completely
Mhm,
wrong, or it's like whatever's, or in the middle. So it's
mhm,
always nice to hear other people's opinions and like what they
mhm,
think, and because it's always good to hear multiple sides, not just one sided.
mhm.
Say the gray area answer.
Yeah, yeah.
Which I think this one like a little bit too long, which I'll probably make it into its own separate episode on YouTube. So it won't be like too crazy.
Okay.
Um, and yeah, because we're at 2 hours, which I just saw.
Wow, it's fast.
um, yeah, so pretty much, I think let's see. I think I asked every single question already that I wanted to ask. Are you okay to do a one little quick game?
Yeah, sure.
All right. I mean, I don't think you'll be happy about this when you hear what kind of game it is.
Uh-oh.
Bad artist habit bingo.
Oh, Bad Hearts of it, yeah, I love this game.
Oh, okay. Oh, damn it.
No,
My bad.
I don't know
Like,
if I love this game. I'm trying to get hype, you know?
no,
I
yeah. It's bad artist habit bingo.
Bad
To
Artist
find
of it,
out.
bingo, okay.
I mean, since you are an experienced artist, so I don't know
Mhm.
how much like bad habits you have right now. So compared to other people that I had before.
So is this game like the more bad habits you get, the you win? Or is this like the less you win? How do you win? Is there winning?
Uh, yeah. Don't get crossed on any of the boxes.
Oh, okay.
Because this is bad. This is our bad habits.
Bad habits, right.
Yeah, you don't want to win this one. You don't want to get bingo on this one.
Oh,
If you
no.
get if you get bingo on this one, then I don't know what to tell you. So
Alright,
let me
well, let's do it. I'm
all right
ready.
all right. Let me change scenes real quick. intervention so people don't see this. So I'm gonna send the image to you right now,
Okay.
and then we go from there. All right. So you can see the image. And I'll be showing it on stream, but since there's delay, all
Mhm.
that, so you don't have to worry about the delay and all that. Where is the image now? Try and get it real quick. There you go. There it is. Boom. All right, cool. I got it. All right, let me make your webcam bigger again. Boom. Boom. Oh, right, I didn't send it. Dummy. And there you go. All right, let me know if you got that.
Oh yeah, I see it.
All right, cool. You win, shame. Yeah, that's pretty much what it is. If you win, that's
Uh-oh.
shame on you. Like,
Uh-oh. All right.
I'm, I'm happy to put artists on the spot, but I'm happy I don't put myself on the spot. But maybe one day I'll put myself
You've not
on the
played this
spot.
game yourself?
Nope. I've been
Smart.
doing this. I've been doing this podcast for like, I think we're like 11 episodes now or more than that, and I never did it myself because hey, this podcast is not about me. It's about the other artists.
Yeah. Well, that's the privilege of being the host, right?
Yeah. I don't have to put myself on the spot because I do have an art quiz that I am working on, guys. And I will be asking some artists from my past guests to come back for this big epic art quiz. Some fun facts, some like what the f facts, and some 101 art facts or art techniques. All right, so let me get that right there. All right, are you ready?
I'm ready.
All right. So if you want to get sure.
I'm sure, yeah.
Why? Where's my zoom in? Oh, I'm using the complicated one. The tools. Oh. Okay.
So
There you go.
everybody in chat's gonna play along at home, right? You guys are gonna share your answers later.
Yeah, you should. Leave a comment on there on YouTube, or thank you for telling me that. I should start doing that. Thank you for the idea for that. I will credit you. It's his idea, but anybody watching on YouTube,
I want to spread the
play this
shame
along.
around, right? I want to spread the shame around. I don't want to hoard it all. There's
Yeah,
enough for everyone.
yeah. Oh, yeah. Post them up or tag Think of Artists Podcast. Use a hashtag Think of Artists Podcast with this flyer. I will post it up where people can download it easily and get it, and then boom, there you go.
Mhm.
So shame for everybody. So let's go with the free space first.
Oh, great.
Procrastinates. Do you procrastinate?
Oh, I thought that was a free space. I thought that was just everybody gets that.
No.
Uh,
It's
I do a thing that is I think it's a philosophy. I think it's called like useful procrastination or something. It's like if you have a list of 5 things that you need to do, and
mm-hmm.
let's say that number 1 is like the one you want to do the least, down to number 5 is when you want to do the most. You do number 2 because compared to number 1, number 2 is easy, even though it's kind of a pain in the ass and you don't want to do it. So you can get your list taken care of in this way because as long as that number 1 thing is there, everything else compared to it doesn't seem so hard. So it's a way of using procrastination to not procrastinate. You know what I mean? Like you're procrastinating on number 1, but you're using that procrastination to get numbers 2 through 5 done. So you say, well, I don't really want to do number 1, so I guess I could do number 2 instead. And it's putting off number 1 for, but in a sort of productive way. So I guess that counts as procrastination.
I mean, you're fine, kind of like it's like a loophole. So I'll let you
Does
decide.
that mean?
I'll let you decide if you want to get that mark. That does make sense.
I think it counts as procrastination. It's just
All
that
right.
it's harnessing your procrastination to get shit done,
Yeah,
but
yeah.
it's still like
Still there.
the big yeah, like I'm supposed to be making sounds on my Twitch stream so that my moderator can alert me when something I need my attention to, right? If I'm not
Uh
paying
huh.
attention to chat and then there's a sound that pops up. And I kind
Right.
of tried to do it and it didn't work. And it seems like a lot of trouble because it's a lot of like working with computers, which is not as fun. And so I think, well, I could do that. Oh, or I could work on this other thing that I have to get done. And so I'll procrastinate on the one thing.
Right.
And and it's for a good cause. So yeah, I think procrastinates probably counts.
All right, we're gonna go love to right now.
All right.
Uh, Stupid or unclear file names.
Yeah, you can put like 5 X's through that one. You can stack them up. Yeah,
All right,
that's my style.
gonna do this like a star or something. I don't know. There you go. Has a million ideas, none get realized.
Uh, I have a million ideas, but all of them end up getting realized. Yeah, I'm
All
good at
right,
this one.
all right.
I've figured out how to be good at this one over the years.
Forget own art style.
Ah, that's tough. I guess I have a style, and I guess
Don't
I'm
you
consistent
don't?
with it. I
Oh,
don't know. What do
okay.
you think? My
I mean,
style is
it's up to you. You know more about your art than I do. Than I, So
I try to like not make everything look the same all the time.
okay. So I mean, yeah, that does like I mean, if you know what you're doing, like your wood carving and all that, so you know what to do from there. So that does you're good, in my opinion.
Okay.
Does not experiment or step out of comfort zone.
I do that all the time. Yeah, it's important. Turn and
Yeah,
face
yeah.
the strange. Be out of your you gotta live out of your comfort zone as an artist. I think
See, I've not
that's
been lying,
yeah.
guys. I've not been lying. I would say always gotta stay out of comfort zone, or else you're never really gonna grow as an artist.
Yeah, if
Um,
if if anybody has, like, this board, that's gotta be the one you gotta get off of that. You can't have an X over that one for too long. Just stay stale.
uh, I feel that doing studies will interfere with my unique art style.
Uh, this, man, I struggle with this
Oh,
because usually
okay. All
I'm
right.
so excited to get into making the piece,
Right.
and, like, I'm like, "Ah, man, I can just make the study straight on the wood. I can make that my study." And in the past couple years, I've been getting better at this one, but
Okay, okay.
but not better enough.
Not better enough.
I struggle with this, yeah. I ideally, I should be doing more studies. I do for my big projects, I'll do a couple pages in the sketchbook, but not as much as I probably should be, so,
So like an
yeah.
ant line.
Maybe you can make a dashed line or something across that.
There you go, like an ant line right there. It's kind of like it's there, but it's like it's still there. Like
Man, my bad artist habit bingo is a lot like my gray area answers to all these things, right? There's nothing definitive. Sorry for the super wishy-washy interview.
nah, nah. I love this. All right.
I thrive in the middle.
Cra-
I like my bathwater tepid.
craves attention, but doesn't finish enough stuff or advertise their stuff effectively.
I finish everything.
Okay.
Um,
Did you
and
advertise your stuff?
I post it on the social medias, but I don't know if it's effective.
No, I mean if you
Uh,
post, it's
mhm,
effective. You're doing something instead of just leaving it
right.
there. So to the next
So I'm
one.
good on that one.
Yeah, yeah. Keeps accidentally drawing on the wrong layers. So that I guess
Yes. Yep. Whenever I do
yep.
digital. Yeah, yeah.
Okay, okay, okay.
Oh,
All right.
no.
Hides body parts that aren't comfortable drawing hands, feet, etc.
Oh, the
Backgrounds.
opposite of this. One of my friends who's an artist, he does some comic stuff, and he challenges himself to always put the hands and the feet in every panel, unless it's, like, unfeasible, but he never gives himself that kind of, he won't put an object in the foreground just for the sake of covering, and so since I've seen him doing that, I think, "Man, that's right, I should do the same thing." So, I challenge myself to not do that, so I guess that's a good habit I have.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. It's a really good habit.
Mhm.
Forgets to save regularly.
Oh, I save constantly. I am on it when it comes to saving. When I was in college, we had, a computer lab. I don't know if anybody in chat is familiar with what a computer lab is. Before everybody had their own computer, their own laptop that they could work on,
Right.
we had a room with, like, computers dedicated to just, like, Photoshop, and the graphic designers would be in there, and things would crash a lot more back then too. And, like, late at night, you'd be in the school, like, in the painting studio, and you just hear these wails of, like, torment and agony coming from the graphic design computer lab because they would have been working on something for hours, and final was, like, tomorrow, and they forgot to save, and the thing crashed, and they lost, like,
Oh
2 hours of work. And so hearing these, like,
no. no.
these tormented screams, these wails of like just pure misery and like, what am I gonna do? The past 2 hours work I have to redo, and the finals tomorrow. I have a deep sort of cellular level fear of this happening. So I save constantly, constantly.
I mean, nowadays there's such thing as autosave.
Yeah, yeah, I know, but it
It
doesn't matter. I
doesn't
draw
matter.
like
It's still
three. I draw
safe.
like 3 lines and then I save.
Yeah, I mean, it's a good habit to have, honestly, because you never want to
Maybe it's
miss.
not the best for workflow, but
No, no, but it's like you never know when an autosave could fail because that's happened
yeah,
before, where like it doesn't
yeah.
save at the right time. If that makes sense.
I know that I never want to feel the way that I could hear in their voice that they felt. So
I felt that before when I didn't save, or when like you so into it, you forget to save and all that.
yeah,
Never finishes anything.
I finish everything.
Doesn't utilize all available art tools, custom brushes, keyboard shortcuts, or even traditional art stuff too as well.
Yeah, there's all kinds of traditional art stuff that I don't utilize. I usually try to blame it on the language barrier at the art store, but really it's more on me. So yeah,
Of course.
I usually I find the tools that I like and I stick with them, and I probably should experiment a bit more.
Okay, okay. Lacks motivation, often burns out, too sad to draw.
No, no, I have a great motivation. I don't want to go back to being an English teacher. So every day I wake up with the fear. It's a great
Alright,
motivator.
alright,
I've been able to
alright.
do art full time for like 6 years, and I love it. And the thought of like going back every once in a while, I'll go back and I'll substitute teach for one of my friends, and like it's fun and it's fine, but it gives me the fear, and it's a
Yeah,
good
yeah,
thing to
yeah,
do.
yeah.
Yeah. Like man, if I had to do this every day, oh yeah.
Only draws from specific angles. Profiles,
Ah,
defaults, images. I don't think so.
I
Honest.
I don't think so. I try to change it up.
Yeah.
But
Uh,
that's
I,
something that I would definitely overlook. Like that's an easy one to overlook in your own work,
yeah,
but
yeah.
I don't think I do that.
Disorganized art folders.
Yeah, you can put like 15 X's on this one too. Yeah, you can stack them up, stack it up to the sky.
Actually, I'm trying to put
Yeah.
15. Nah, then I could do 9. I think I have like a big brush for this. There you go. I'll put 9. There you go. I mean, I think we could skip this one. Avoid drawing backgrounds.
I prefer drawing backgrounds.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
Disregards personal health or in favor of drawing, like breaks, stuff like that.
Yeah, I used to do this, but I've found different hacks to avoid doing this. So
Okay,
I've gotten
okay.
better. After you turn like 30, you start to kind of uh if you disregard personal health, then your art is going to suffer. So
Yeah,
can't do
yeah,
that
yeah.
anymore. Yeah.
Uh, accidentally saves over the wrong version of file.
Oh,
That's happened
did
to
this
you
one
before.
I did this one recently.
Oh,
Yeah, I should know better at this
cross.
point. I should know better. I've been doing digital art for probably 6 or 7 years. I should know better. I messed up. I thought I had the right one backed up in a different place. I don't know why I just didn't put like a, A after the title name or something.
So, oh, yeah, why do
That
we
was
always
tough.
do that? Like for me, I always put like, I just click the keyboard a bunch of times to make a name, and it's just like, oh, I'll name it later. But and
Yeah.
then when I try and find it later, it's like, what did I use before? Like, instead of like naming it, which is a lot easier to find stuff.
And the pop-up always comes up, right? That says like, "There's already a
Yeah,
file with this name. Are you sure you
yeah,
wanna save over it?"
yeah,
And you're
yeah.
always so smug. You're like, "Of course I do. Come
Yeah,
on.
it's all
I know
good.
better than you." No. And I'm sure that this one will happen again as I try to avoid it. I promise myself never again, but you know how that goes.
Hates asking for or accepting help and advice.
No, no, the opposite. I love it. I love when people tell me why they don't like my work because that's how you get better. I mean,
Uh,
it's great hearing people say like, "That's wonderful. I love it. This is so great." I like that too. But if somebody has something like, "This isn't working because of this," I always think, "Whoa, I never would have seen that myself." So, No, I love it. I love asking for or accepting help and advice.
All right, all right, all right. Lines too sketchy or sloppy.
Oh yeah, this is another one I've been working on lately. You can put an X on this.
Okay,
When I
okay.
do the wood cuts, I do it comic book style. I pencil it and then I ink it and then I carve it right instead of coloring. But I do pencils and then I do inks in that comic book style. And generally my pencils are too loose. And so then I go into
Mm.
ink and my inks don't look as good as they could because my pencils are too loose. So I've really been trying lately to tighten up my pencils. And I've added an extra step where I'll do my really rough layouts and then I'll go in and I'll roughen that up a bit and do the pencils. What I used to do is my pencils, but now I'll go in for a third pass and I'll tighten up the pencils even more. But
Oh, okay.
still, yeah, I'm working on it. But yeah, you can put an X on that one.
All right, all right. Perfectionist, too self-critical.
No, probably not self-critical enough.
All right, all right.
I should be more of a perfectionist.
Well, actually, you don't, because that's a bad habit.
Yeah, maybe. I don't know.
I mean, then again, it depends on
I
opinion,
guess the
right?
card says
Depend.
it's a bad habit, so it must be.
Well, yeah, it's not. That's what I'm saying. Like, I
Yeah.
think
If
it
it gets
depends on the
to a certain
person.
point,
Yeah.
yeah, if you get to a certain point, I guess
I,
maybe I'm in the good range for that one. I don't know.
I think it's like if you. I think this is more saying like if you're trying to be too perfectionist, you've never really finished anything.
Mhm.
You're like, oh, that's not perfect. I'm just starting something else. Maybe
Okay,
that's what I'm
yeah.
thinking. That's what I'm thinking. Can I accept compliments or too? Yeah, concept. Compliments. Yeah.
Uh, well, I mean, I get so many compliments.
Oh, there
At
you
this
go.
point, I'm used to it. So what are you gonna do? Is you either gotta you gotta embrace it or it's gonna be a tough life getting complimented and not being able to accept it. So
Well, you have those.
I say self-deprecatingly. Uh,
Yeah.
no, I think it's important if you're an artist and you're putting your art out there to be able to accept compliments. It can be weird when people do it, but it's nice. And so it's one of the things about life that people should enjoy. And so
Yeah.
I try to enjoy and appreciate when people compliment me.
Doesn't spend enough time planning or sketching.
uh so yeah, this is a little bit different than the studies one, right? On
Yeah,
the top
yeah.
right corner. Yeah.
Like you're
I
kind of just like
do
I have an idea. I'm just gonna
mhm.
put it whatever it is. 1 minute. All right, let's do it.
No, I do a lot of research for especially for my bigger woodcuts.
Okay.
Um, so yeah, I do a lot of research and sketching for that.
Okay.
I skip the studies more than I
Hmm.
should. The research I do.
Okay. Okay. I don't think this will count for you. Same face syndrome. It's like the same face on every
Mhm.
single design that you do.
Jeez, I hope not. I'm looking at the work now, like,
I have that. That's one of my bad habits.
mm,
That's because my own style, my own art style that I created. Yeah. I
mhm,
mean, right? I'm still like experimenting, but yeah.
mhm.
Last one. Forgets to actually post finished stuff.
No, I post all my finished stuff. I try to post it the day I
Well,
finish it. Mhm.
well, god damn it, you did not get bingo. You were close.
Hey, yeah.
You
Take
were
that, everybody
close.
who doubted me.
I'm kidding. You got one. No, I'm just kidding. You didn't get any.
If
Nah.
you rearrange your board, if you rearrange your board, I would have bingo, but
Yeah,
thankfully,
yeah.
the luck of the draw.
Yeah.
I'm just a couple
So
away.
yeah, you're across. You almost got one across. I hate asking for accepting help. Help, and then the forgets to post their finished stuff.
Mhm,
So if you got it, that you would have gotten a bingo, or never finished anything, or forgets to finish stuff.
mhm.
Those are the two
I see.
closest ones. So there you go. How you
Alright.
feel?
Well,
Now that
great. Feeling pretty good.
now that many
Feel a lot
habits.
better about myself now.
There you go.
Everybody in chat, feel free to compliment me because as we've learned, I'm great at accepting it.
All right, you get an X on that.
So,
But there you go. There you go. You were close. You were close. I mean, it's also an interesting thing. I'm telling you, I've been doing this bingo for some time now.
Mhm,
It's always interesting seeing like when they realize how many bad habits they don't have or how many they do have. They're like, I gotta
mhm.
work on that, or I'm all right.
Yeah.
I'm doing better. So
Well,
it's
it's
very.
constant, right? It's a constant part of being an artist, and it's part of the process.
Oh yeah.
And, like, I think when you're learning as an artist, at least when maybe not at the beginning when you're first starting out, but as you've sort of been an artist for a while and then you're still trying to get better, a lot of getting better isn't learning new techniques. A lot of getting better is like figuring out what your bad habits are and breaking them. It's
Yeah.
like a big part about improving when you're sort of a little further on in your career because you develop the bad habits as you're focusing on getting better at other stuff, and then you come
Yeah.
back around and you're like, "Oh man, I've been doing that this way all this time. I can't believe it." So,
Yeah. 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 So that kind of goes with like getting out of your comfort zone too.
mhm,
You know,
yeah,
doing new things, find new techniques and stuff like that. Using
mhm,
your arsenal of all the stuff that you have, and instead of like staying in your own little bubble. And
yeah, yeah,
yeah, I think it's like you need to destroy that bubble, you know, or get out the box or whatever.
yeah.
But yeah, there you
Agreed.
go. Um, so that's pretty much it. So the pretty much how we're gonna end it is the summary of you. Just what you want to tell the people of who you are, your art, and everything. Just a summary, a quick summary, and you can end it off.
Some of my art. I guess for upcoming things, I'm working
Yeah.
on. I just started working on my third woodcut installation. So the one behind me is the second woodcut installation. So I've done the two so far. So I've just started working on the third one. It's going to be a multi-year project, but I'm very excited about it. It's about uh, it's about exploring different aspects of emergent phenomena in nature. So it's kind of about science. It's kind of about philosophy, and it's going to be huge, and it's going to be all enveloping, including the floor and the ceiling this time. My first two installations were just the walls. This is gonna be floor, ceiling. You're gonna go into the room, and it's gonna be totally surrounding. So I'm working on that. I'm excited for that.
Hmm.
The second woodcut graphic novel is gonna be out in December. The Kickstarter starts December 1st, and next year I'm doing a ink and watercolor comic with my wife, who is a neuroscientist. So we're kind of
Oh.
combining our our areas of interest and our areas of expertise to make a comic. So I've been spending this year sort of uh, brushing up on my on my pen and ink and my watercolor. So I'm excited to start that early next year. So that's what's happening now. Um, I also do tattoos, although with the pandemic, there's been less of that because of the being this close to somebody.
Yeah.
Uh,
Yeah. Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah. Yeah.
but do that, and that's fun. And aside from that, I stream on Twitch twice a week. I stream Tuesday mornings, 10 a.m. and Friday afternoons, 1:30 p.m. That's Taiwan time.
Oh,
So
okay.
it's
So it's like nighttime for the West Coast.
yeah, on the east coast of the U.S., it would be 10 p.m.
Oh,
Monday
okay.
night and 1:30 a.m. Friday morning. So I'm 12 hours ahead of the East Coast, at least for the next few weeks. When you guys do daylight savings, it'll be 13 hours ahead. It's
Oh,
very
right,
complicated.
right. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, it's happening next month
So
or November.
I think it usually happens around Halloween.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I really don't know, to be honest. My time is weird. But yeah, I will have all the links on when I upload this on YouTube, which is around next week. Uh,
Mhm. Cool.
so I usually upload episodes a week after. I have a schedule that how I upload my episodes. This one I may cut some parts off because we're like 2.5 hours, so we have
Mhm.
like special episodes for that.
Sure.
And yeah, and also this Friday. I'll be uploading my first time lapse video in a while. How I painted my PS5, the journey of that, the administration of that, and taking a risk on that because it's a special item. But yeah, that'll be uploaded hopefully this Friday, and more content come, guys. We'll have another podcast on October 6th. So the instead of me doing every single week now, guys, it's gonna be 2 times a week, 2 times a month. So be like less crazier and more time for me to put more episodes out there and everything, and other content just besides the podcast, because I think we finally got what I wanted for the podcast to be, and of course you could use if you want the video for this or the YouTube or all that, you could more likely download it and use it your own way for any of your social medias. Any artist is more welcome to do that. And that's pretty much it, guys. So if you guys want to check out the YouTube channel, there's the link to it right there. It'll be uploaded there. If you guys want to check out the guests, links which will be there all throughout. So I get the next guest. So every time you guys come to my stream, the guest links will always be there, and that's pretty much it, really. Any last words? What you thought about the podcast? Anything like that? Feedback?
Thanks for having me. It was great to chat with you.
Yeah, it was 2 hours and a half. It was nice. It went
It's
by
a long one, huh?
fast. Yeah, it went
Yeah.
by fast. I mean, that's when it was good. Good stories, good origins, and great areas. I'm just kidding. No,
Yeah.
no. I'm saying it's actually good to hear all these different opinions of, especially like topics that not many artists could really talk about on the streams, since they have
Mhm.
like kind of like a way they do things, and sort of like talking these type of topics, kind of like change the flow of it. So it's kind of cool talking about this kind of thing. So yeah, thank you guys so much. I really do appreciate it. And yeah, I can't wait to see the update. Actually, when the lady comes in and say this is $1, if she's gonna buy the art.
Yeah, I'll let you know.
Yeah, well, it'd be awesome. We could record, but I think this
I'll share with you that and whatever hentai I get to do.
Oh, that's true. Yeah, yeah, the hentai too. Yeah, I mean it's so funny. Like, yeah, I mean, I just can't imagine her face. Oh, this is too much. No, it's $1. Oh,
Now she wears a mask. You can't see her face. That's part
oh
of it.
well,
It's
well, you see
mysterious.
her eyes, like her eyes. But yeah, thank you again so much. I really appreciate it, and yeah, I can't wait to see hear the updates.
All right. Thank you. Take
All
care.
right, have a great night. Peace.